back to another day, another episode of Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about cloud gaming could benefit from $1,000 consoles, says Amazon. We're going to talk about PlayStation Network outage hits thousands of gamers worldwide. We're also going to talk about Xbox having problems with their online service as of right now. We're also going to talk about Star Wars, 50th anniversary Star Wars. He's retelling the original trilogy. And then we're going to watch a video from Bellular News that came out yesterday called The World is Turning on PlayStation. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We just cover news stories, cover videos, have conversation, give you my thoughts and opinions. Then we get your thoughts and opinions as well in the live chat. What's going on, chat? Let me see who's all here. Good morning, Altern. Good morning, Eclipse. Good morning, Travis. Good morning, Mr. Luke, Jesse Mack, Sarge McCluskey. What's going on? Water Bear, Jesse Marshall, or Jason. I don't know why I said Jesse. Jason Marshall, AHFP29. Good morning. How's everyone doing? I don't know why I said that. How's everyone doing? Hope you guys had a good weekend. As you can tell, my voice is a little still under the weather. I don't know what it is. I think I fucked up my vocal cords from like the month ago, and it's still recuperating. Just to give you guys a heads up, this week is normal. We're streaming Monday through Thursday. We're doing the podcast. We're doing all the stuff. I have an impromptu travel that we have to go to. We're leaving Saturday. It's nothing bad, but something came up and we got to go. So Saturday, we're leaving. We're leaving Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, come back Wednesday. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to try to stream on Monday and Tuesday like normal, but it's not going to be normal. We're not going to have like stories popping up and stuff like that. It's just probably just going to be this view, but I'll be somewhere else. So I'm going to be using my iPad. I'm going to try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, then there'll be no streams. If it does work, well, then there'll be somewhat of a stream. I don't know if I'm going to do 2 hours or not. But I'm out of town for the next 5 days, starting on Saturday, and then come back Wednesday. So just give you guys heads up. We will be back in time. I probably will be on the Fake Wizard News on Wednesday night, and we'll be back for Generation X Gaming on Thursday. So nothing's being missed as far as that part. So, all right, let's get started with the first story here, which is cloud gaming could benefit from $1,000 console, says Amazon. Now, we've talked about this in the past before all of this stuff that's happening right now with Sony saying they're not making physical games anymore and all this other stuff. We're talking years ago. I talked about how if the prices of video games go up, right, and it keeps thriving the people to go up, I said things like Game Pass, hell, even back in the day when Google still had the Stadia, I said it would benefit those types of platforms because you're raising the price. Now that we've known this year's been, well, late last year to this year, prices going up on Xbox, prices going up on PlayStation, prices going up across the board, electronics across the board. Even Nintendo's getting in on it with $50 on theirs, right? I said it'll drive people to cloud gaming. And I've talked about cloud gaming in the past, saying that more people are going to play cloud gaming, and everyone's like, oh, the infrastructure. But there's a lot of people concentrated in big areas that have the infrastructure, right? So this article comes out by Inside Gaming on July 25th. It says cloud gaming could benefit from $1,000 console, says Amazon. So Amazon Games executive Jeffrey Agatzi believes that the expensive next-gen consoles could lead more players to embrace cloud gaming platforms like Amazon Luna. Amazon recently decided to bundle its Luna cloud gaming platform with Prime Video. There's a certain stipulation for using the service, namely needing to play on a Fire TV. The GM and gaming at the e-commerce juggernaut believes that the recent price surges in other corners of the gaming space may lead to a boom in players adopting platforms like Luna. Now, I even talked about way back when with Phil Spencer. I said if they had, and this is before they made the deals with Fire Stick TV and Game Pass was everywhere. I said that Game Pass would make a dongle that would put in the TV. Well, obviously, Amazon has done this. Game Pass is going to do this, or has done this as well. So, as you could tell, all of this stuff is moving towards that direction. Okay. It says more Amazon Luna news is adding 12 free games for Prime members to claim in July. Okay. It says Amazon Games GM explains why cloud gaming could grow fast. In an interview with Christopher Drigg on Game Business, Gatsis said that it's not Luna's goal to replace consoles. However, platforms like Steam Machine launching at over $1,000 and content prices increasing for PlayStation and Xbox hardware are creating a pathway for cloud gaming to shine more than ever before. Remember, make the problem, sell the solution, right? It says, quote, our business is more about reaching more players and expanding the market, not trying to get people to give up their consoles or gaming PCs, he said. The world doesn't need another one of those. They don't need a fourth entry selling the same games and competing with the same pie of the players. It really isn't growing. Isn't that amazing? Giant CEOs are saying the same thing that I'm saying. Okay. I don't need fourth entry to selling, right? Games are competing with the same piece of the pie and really isn't growing. I do think we get to the point at which more people will be in consideration set for a cloud gaming solution just because of a sheer cost of buying dedicated hardware. Okay. So they're asking you, how do you feel about these remarks from the GM Amazon Games? Okay. Sound off about the story of All Official. So what do you guys think? Right. Now, obviously, we've talked about this in the past. I've talked about this in the past, right? It's not because, I'm like a psychic here. I'm not a psychic in any way, shape, or form, even though you could put the emote in the chat. Okay. I don't have like a third eye. I read between the lines of all the things that were happening in the last 7 to 8 years. Seeing what Xbox was doing, seeing what Amazon was doing, seeing what Google was doing, even though Stadia didn't work out. It was more of the business model, right? Not because of the Stadia itself. Stadia was actually pretty good. Okay, you got GeForce Now. You got all these companies positioning themselves, okay, as cloud services. Why? Why is Sony even? Sony has a better cloud service than Microsoft, right? I've been playing cloud gaming for, I don't know, well before this new system came out. We were beta testers and stuff with the Xbox for cloud gaming way back when. It's much better now. I play on the Meta Quest and stuff like that. There's so many things. And again, I get it. People are always talking about, well, the infrastructure is just not there. The infrastructure is just not there. I get it, right? I live in a place where the infrastructure is not that good. I have decent internet, okay? And it works fine on majority of the games. Now, if you're playing online games, we've had this conversation in the past. Hell, some of you are not even plugged in when you play online games in multiplayer, which just baffles my mind. Okay, or you're playing on a projector, or you're playing on a slow internet. Like all of these things, okay, are all happening. But these companies are all in it together. Now, see, Amazon's not even trying to like. I like this. I like this part right here. Right. I like this part right here, where he says, "Our business is more about reaching more players and expanding the market." That's the same as Microsoft's. That's the same as everybody else's, right? Not trying to get people to give up their console or gaming PCs. They already know. They already have a gaming PC. Well, guess what? You can play Amazon Luna on your gaming PC. Oh, you can play it on your television set. You can play, right? The world doesn't need another one of those, right? There's plenty of stuff out there, and you don't need another $1,000 box now, okay, to go play the same things. He says, I don't need a fourth entry selling the same games and competing for the same pie of players. There's a huge group of players, and people love arguing with me in the past going, oh, well, more consoles are selling. More people are playing consoles. And it's like, no, they're not. Less people are playing consoles. There's a saturation point, hence why they're charging you more for video games. Hence why PlayStation made the VR headset. Why they made a handheld. Because they're double dipping, triple dipping into the market that's already there because the players that are there, they know their clientele. This is why you needed a PlayStation to get the PlayStation VR 2. Right? This is why you needed a PlayStation to get the handheld device. Now you don't need it because now it's out there. Okay, they charged you more, and they're like, oh, well, maybe they don't need that. Maybe they don't need that. Maybe they could use that headset for the PC. But when it first came out, the only people that could buy it were people that owned a PlayStation. Sony thought, well, if we make a headset and we make the handheld, well, then we'll sell more consoles of the PlayStation 6 or PlayStation 5, which didn't happen, right? Just the people that had the PlayStation 5s bought the $500 headset and bought the $200 or $250 handheld device. So it was already a barricade in. You had to have the $500 system at the time, okay? So now Amazon doing nothing, right? They're doing nothing. They just have games there. And obviously this is not going to be a huge chunk of the market here. But if Amazon, I don't know what they have as subscribers now, right? They're giving it away for Amazon Prime. But the point is that because they're there and more people can't afford to buy a Xbox at a higher tier price, can't buy a PlayStation at the higher tier price, maybe don't want a Nintendo because it doesn't have a lot of the third-party games that they want to play, can't afford a PC, well, now they can get a Fire Stick or they can get a Fire TV, right? Much cheaper, does a lot more other things, and they can start playing the games from the cloud service, and it's a much cheaper price, especially if you already have Amazon Prime in your house, which most people probably do, at least in the States anyway, because it's part of the service, right? So what do you guys think, right? I've been talking about this for years and years and years. Make the problem, sell the solution. The problem is the prices are going up. Gaming is becoming more expensive. Well, cloud gaming is right there to get you in the door for a much cheaper price. If it's Game Pass, if it's PlayStation Plus, if it's GeForce, if it's Amazon, right? All of these things are here for you just for backup. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. These are just my thoughts, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right. What do you guys think about this stuff? You guys are talking about Marvel. We'll talk about that in a little bit if you want, maybe a little later in the show. Ron Slusher says cloud gaming is the future. A certain YouTuber content creator told us this several years ago. Can't remember his name. Rhymes with Birdie Hemst. Birdie Hemst. Amazing. Thank you. Mr. Luke says Luna put Dispatch free to play Prime as extra, like the free Twitch sub, etc., etc. Altern says I play with my phone hotspot connected to my PC. AFH says the industry is maturing for sure. It already matured years ago. Because the people that were gamers owned an Xbox, owned a PlayStation, owned a Nintendo, owned a PC. And if 250 million people were there and I owned 4 of the systems in that category, well, there's not 250 million people that are playing that are in that industry. Ron Slusher says, I played Dispatch on my phone through Luna. It worked fine. Oh, did you really? Did you really play it through your phone? Mr. Luke says, plus free XCOM game. Winner, winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Mr. Luke also says, don't forget to like the live stream. I appreciate that. Hit that like button down below, please. It does help us out. Jesse Max says, you don't need a machine to run gaming anymore. It's all on your TV, phones, and etc. Think about this, though, right? We talked about this conversation years and years and years ago about Xbox when Phil Spencer was talking about the Keystone. As Sarge says, Keystone, so smooth. The little Keystone, little box they had. And I said, if they could sell, we talked about this on other people's podcasts years ago, right? And people made fun of me, and here we are in the future. And that's what you play on now. Dongles and little boxes and little thing, right? With streaming cloud, right? But the box, if Xbox came out with the little dongle, what they said, Phil Spencer said years ago that we couldn't get the price down far enough. But if they just gave you a small box that accessed, right? No disk drive, right? Just cloud gaming type of thing, going to Blade servers and stuff like that. Okay, using AWS or whatever, or Azure, you pay like $100. $100, you get a little box, maybe you get a controller, right? Because the box is nothing. It's the key. It's the key. It's the code that you write in. It's the disk that you put in the disk, right? That's it. It's just going, oh, he's got one of these boxes? Okay, great. Okay, so you come with a controller, you got the little box, and you got Game Pass, let's say, for 3 months. That's exactly what Amazon's doing here, right? That's exactly what Amazon's doing here. Amazon's like, oh, you have to have the Fire Stick, right? Or the Fire TV. Right? And then you have to have Amazon Prime. It's a low barrier of entry to come in, right? What does a Amazon Fire Stick cost, or Amazon Fire TV? Fire TVs, obviously. Let's see, a Fire Stick. What we got here? You got the Fire Stick Stick HD. You got the Fire Stick TV Stick 4K Select. You got the Fire TV Stick 4K Plus. And you got the Fire Stick TV Stick 4K Max. I don't even know what the fuck all that is. All right. So for the low price of $34.99 for the Fire TV Stick HD, or $39 for the Fire TV Stick 4K, or the $49.99 for the Fire Stick TV 4K Plus, or the $59 for the Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and now you have the Fire TV Cube for $139. Okay? So for the low price of any of these, between $34 and $140, you can get a small little box that plugs into your television set that can play video games on. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, you and I, the guys that are gamers that have every single console known to man, and you play all the new games that come out, we're probably not going to get this. Right? We're probably not going to get this. But there's a lot of people that don't play games, and when they find out it does play games, like their phone, right? They got a phone because they need a phone. But then they find out their phone can play games, and they're like, oh, cool. So they start playing more games. Then people start finding out that you can play more than just the mobile phone games. You can play actual games. Well, now people with television sets are like, oh, wait, I could play a video game on here? Wait, I already paid for it? Well, let me give it a shot. Right? That's what they're trying to go for. Sarge says, do you guys remember the size of the case that the games used to come in with the manual? Plastic base, yeah. Aku says, of course, I still have some of them, like the Microsoft Combat Flight Sim, the documents that came in with it. Just Enough says $25 to $50. What the hell does the $100 do? I don't know what it does. It just says the ultimate hands-free 4K streaming experience, 4K Ultra HD, Dolby Visual, does all the same stuff. The only thing it looks like it does different, connect and control your device, cable box, game console, and web. So the big one for $139, you can control, like, I guess you could plug your box and stuff, like your gaming system, into that if you want to. I mean, look at what Xbox is doing right now, right? They just announced Game Pass for the Meta Quest or Meta Horizon Plus, whatever, for $8 a month or $60 a year, right? So they announced that. So Xbox is doing it. Do you see what I'm talking about, guys? When I say, like, the industry is in it together, everyone thinks that they're competing, right? Because that's what sells stuff. Like, if you think you're on this team or that team, right? That's what sells stuff. But they're all on the same team. They all make the industry go around. They're all in it to win it. They're all in it for the greed. They're all in it to move the industry over to the full digital library type of stuff. Going from that, we're going to move over to what happened to PlayStation, right, this weekend. And also Xbox just today. Okay, so it's not just a focused thing here on Xbox, right? But PlayStation Network outage hits thousands of gamers worldwide. All right, here's the update for it. This is on July 24th. It says, earlier today, a massive PlayStation Network outage took servers offline for thousands of gamers worldwide, leaving them unable to sign into their accounts. Per reports of social media, the impact of PlayStation Store downloaded games and any games that require PlayStation Network connections. The future looks bright, doesn't it? The future looks bright. Now remember, I talked about how everything's going to go to the cloud. I don't want it to, by the way. But I used to always tell you, they're like, well, I'm still going to buy physical games. I said, you can until you can't, which is happening now as well. Okay. However, at the time of writing this, PlayStation Network status platform reflected no issues. Even though the down detector, as a representative example, showed thousands of complaints, I can verify that I've been able to connect to the PlayStation Network, so this issue may have passed or wasn't in your area that you were being bothered in. Like, I don't understand. This is a digital future. Folks use situations like this as serious ammunition in the debate against all digital gaming. Last month, Sony revealed when January 2028 comes around, it will no longer print discs for the new PlayStation games, which also posed something of a dilemma for many of the wider gaming community. Unfortunately, this is part of the parcel of the evolution of the industry and the number of points of the overwhelming majority of the new game sales being digital these days. That doesn't mean that the consumer is happy, of course. It says, today, on July 24th, PlayStation Network experienced a global outage that affected many users trying to enjoy its servers. They were rendered incapable of accessing their accounts, booting the downloading games, and getting into the PlayStation Store, and using games with the online features, which, as you can imagine, left them a state of turmoil, right? Because you pay for something you want it to work when you want to use it, right? So while PlayStation didn't directly address the outage, they never do, nor did the status page reflect any issues. Many thousands of gamers flooded the social media with complaints that went to a platform like the Down Detector to report the problem. Okay. Users on the PlayStation 5 subreddit voiced their concerns about the outage, with many of them making quips about the being reflective of the dangers of an all-digital landscape. Were you impacted by this this weekend? Now, there was another video done by Mug Thief, and he went to go play the new Token game and said the game was good, but the experience of the whole fucking thing was terrible. Okay. But this is not just a Sony thing, by the way, because this also happened just earlier today. We're aware of some users encountering errors of attempting to sign in to see their library or launch games. Our engineers are actively working to mitigate this issue. For updates, please follow along here, which is the status update, right? Which you have to sign in, but it tells you if your status, whatever is happening with Xbox, which is a problem. Okay, well, did it finally load? Right, so it'll tell you. It says, just checking in on the game's library sign in, the game launch issue. We know that this has been going on for a while. Appreciate your patience while the team is keeping up with it. Watch here, right? And it was 8 hours that it was having a problem, right? 8 hours of this. And again, this is not I'm not picking on Sony. Just giving you the news as the news comes in, right? This happened on Friday or whatever when it all came out. We're gonna go. I'm gonna let Mug Thief talk a little bit here. Let me bring up his video. I wasn't gonna put him on today, but he did have a. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, Mug Thief. We're not gonna watch his whole video.
Sometimes you just.
All right, we're not gonna watch his whole video. But we are going to let him explain what happened in his situation, right? Which doesn't mean it happened to everyone's situation, right?
Can't make this stuff up, man. Like, for real. So look, we've been talking about PlayStation for a while. And even my most recent video is talking about how they keep fudging the numbers of stuff to make it look like what they want is just the logical conclusion, instead of a bitter excuse to take away customer rights and then try and make the most money possible. Really just like the complete transformation of PlayStation from a company that might have had a bit of a soul and a bit of care for its customers into this soulless megacorp that just cares about money, and it will suffer because of it. But just as I uploaded a video talking about the perils of the all-digital future, PSN went down.
Isn't this crazy? It's funny to me that this all happens and everyone's like, there's people literally protecting them online, like saying, oh, it didn't happen to me. So because it didn't happen to them, it didn't happen to the person that's complaining about it, right?
To be fair, many other things went down as well. It wasn't just PSN, it was a bunch of stuff tied to Amazon Web Services.
That's correct.
Which is not a positive, by the way, because if we are moving into an all-digital future, the failure point doesn't.
You see how I'm all connecting the points here? You guys see how I'm all connected the points? This is why physical games need to stay around, right? While we talked about Amazon was looking to benefit from all of this because Amazon has Amazon Luna, which all their servers are up on AWS, and Sony's stuff is on AWS, and Microsoft, because Amazon owns some of the largest servers in the world, and everything's going digital. It's going to be a great future.
Doesn't matter to me, it's the end product, and the fact that millions of people yesterday couldn't access their games. They couldn't play online, but they also couldn't access a lot of parts of how PlayStation Network works, including downloading games that they own. Many people with multiple different reports across the different ways that PSN works, indicating that a lot of the stuff that you would expect to be able to do, you couldn't, including playing a ton of your digital games, because that is the danger of the all-digital future, that you can have everything taken away from you.
AHFP says, brother, I'm not defending PlayStation, but networks go down all the time. What is he crying about? Who's crying about what? No one's crying. We're talking about information that's out.
Pretty much whenever. Now, of course, this in itself is pretty big because we have to remember it's a poetic reminder of just how dangerous and how unreliable these companies are, no matter what they promise you for the future that they want to create. And that digital media ownership rights are necessary, as well as a series of systems in place that guarantee customer protection and rights to that media. And if they won't give me that, then you better give me discs that work offline. Now, normally, I wouldn't just make a video talking about this PSN outage. It doesn't feel necessary. Most of the things that I wanted to talk about, I talked about it in that previous video. But this outage coincided with PlayStation releasing one of their most anticipated games, not the full game, but the beta for Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, the new 4v4, but not really tag fighter, developed by Arc System Works, and that is, of course, Marvel superheroes based.
I want to play this game. I didn't play it this weekend, right? I'll wait down the road. I didn't test out the beta in any way, shape, or form, but you know me, I love Marvel. This fighting game looks good, but at the same time, I can wait.
Now, not only did the PSN outage make it so the beta start was abysmal.
See, East is saying PlayStation is reliable. Xbox Live actually goes down more. Here, this is the thing. I'm not arguing which one's worse. I'm arguing for that an all-digital future is terrible. This is why physical media still needs to be around.
But I play on PC whenever possible. And the game, in large part due to PlayStation's decisions, runs like garbage and might actually be a danger to people. Short version is, you need a PSN account in order to play the game, even on PC, meaning that that famous list of like 121 countries that don't have access to PSN can't technically buy it on PC.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me that you're coming out with a game and you're taking it away from 132 countries. Is that what he said? That's crazy.
Either. Right, sure, there's ways around those geographical restrictions, but you're still technically going against what PlayStation is doing. So if you were afraid that they could take the things you own from you no matter what before, try also breaking their terms of service. But it's also that PSN requirement and that PSN login that requires using Microsoft Edge, and that then spawns like 5 sub-services, including Epic Games services for the multiplayer, but most of the services that the game runs in the background, including Easy Anti-Cheat, meaning that you can't play the game unless you're playing it on Windows, so no Linux, no Steam Machine, no Steam Deck, because Easy Anti-Cheat doesn't work with those, but also a series of layers to avoid data mining and cracking the game on PC that makes it not just run like garbage in the game.
Yet, whatever was happening with, a lot of people were complaining about this, that it was overheating or pushing up the temperature for Marvel Token. It's like, nah, I guess tests are tests, but holy Christ.
But also make CPUs go up to temperatures close to, melting. Now, I'm lucky enough that I'm running a very good processor, not a well-optimized one, but a raw strength one. I've got a 13th.
And the starting going on right now is his video capturing of what happened. Morning, Winter Rose.
Gen i9, and it did not like what was going on, and the game borderline worked. It crashed multiple times. It caused severe problems to my general PC audio equipment, video capture, all sorts of stuff. Just a complete and utter disaster. Like, the worst thing that you could imagine for the first impression that somebody is going to get from a video game. Because imagine that you come home on Friday. You come home excited to try out the new Marvel fighting game, thinking that maybe you're going to pick it up when it releases in a couple of weeks. Sit down on your couch, launch up your PS5, it's broken. Nothing works. So you're like, okay, I'll play a different game. You go to load up a different game, and because of the PSN outage, that doesn't work. So now you're scrambling in your free time, what you were looking forward to, the free time that we deserve to enjoy and care about in the lives that we lead, and you're sat there just figuring out what you can even do. Or you came home, launched up Steam, downloaded Marvel Tokon, you were forced to sign into PSN, depending on the country that you live in, potentially to give them extra information to this company famous for...
Did you see the new fighting game also came out on mobile for DC?
For their data leaks, stuff like your biometric...
It's almost like the industry knows what everyone's doing, right? They're like, hey, let's drop a Marvel game. Oh, let's drop a DC game as well.
Data so that they can verify your age. Then the game proceeded to launch 5 subservices that tried to destroy your CPU and potentially cause problems to your PC until the game finally launched and it couldn't connect because PSN was down. This is the future that PlayStation is promising us. Isn't this wonderful? And so,
see, my stance here is Sony is the linchpin right now, but this is a much bigger issue, right? Now, obviously, everyone wants to shit on Sony, but because Sony has announced that they're not going physical anymore after 2028. But this is a major problem going forward that everything is going to be digital, right? Because as you guys talk about all the time is that the structure is not, infrastructure is not good. The more people go online, look, there's going to be issues right now. I'm telling you right now. Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. The single player game's out there, right? They sell 50 million copies, let's say they did, as people are saying. The online launches. I don't know if many people remember, but Grand Theft Auto 4, when it launched, when it had the little online multi 16 player type of thing, was broke for a long time. And then when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out online, it was broke for like a month. Okay. For 2 weeks, some people couldn't even log into the actual thing. And I know some people are saying, oh, I can't play the game, go outside and touch grass. But when people pay for a product, they actually want it to work when they want to use it, not when they tell you to use it. That's why people are upset about digital games and whatnot, right? When Grand Theft Auto 6 online launches, there's going to be massive issues because there's just too many people, and it's going to bottleneck, and they're going to have massive problems, right? And then people are going to, they'll write the reports and stuff like that. But just like I was correct about all the other games in the past, I said, hey, there's going to be problems, there's going to be issues. Grand Theft Auto 6 might not have problems, right? But Grand Theft Auto 6 online is going to have massive problems because there's going to be way too many people trying to log in at the exact same time.
Between that and some other stuff like the announcement of God of War Laufey and the different efforts that PlayStation is doing regarding Marvel Tokon, I want to talk a bit more today about that all-digital future, but I also want to give my personal review of Marvel Tokon, because you know what's the most criminal part about all of this? I think the game's pretty damn good, and I think that it's going to find itself with an uphill battle, both because of the situation on PC and stuff like that PSN outage being associated to...
The outage, I don't think is a major problem, because obviously they'll fix that, but the power, the optimization, unoptimized, I guess, for PC, hence why they're doing the test. But holy Christ, if they drop this, they're going to kill it right off the bat. You got to make sure that this game it's a fighting game, an online fighting game, and a live service fighting game on top of that, right? Where there is a story, but most of it's going to be online. And if this live service game doesn't have good netcode, they're going to have problems. Marvel can only get you so far. Right? Marvel can only get you so far. A lot of people will like the game, but if it's netcode issues, you're going to have massive problems, and they're going to kill it before it even comes out.
That open beta. And before anybody says the game isn't made for PC players, trust me, they're launching the game on PC because they know they need to in order to make their money back.
More people,
like PlayStation does with all of their live services. So it is a pretty big piece of the pie. You think it was bad that half of Bungie got fired after Marathon? If they didn't launch that on PC, it would have been all of it. Sure, it's an FPS, but still, the majority of players from Marathon were on PC. Like, just get with the times. But by the way, hi, I'm Muggin. If you're...
Are fighting games, and I'm asking you, chat, are fighting games really big on PC? I don't know. All the fighting games I've ever played have always been on consoles. So I never wanted to buy a fighting game on the PC. So I don't know how big the player base is for fighting games on PC. You guys let me know. I've been out of the fighting game genre for a decade and a half.
You hear welcome.
All right. So that's it. He just was talking about the outage and stuff like that for PlayStation. We don't need to hear the token review. If you want to get it, go to his channel. He can tell you if he likes the game or not. All right, let me go from that. We're going to go to the next story. Let's see what you guys are saying here before I go to the next story. GDP says, I'm not sure if the network's going down for 12 hours per year. It does. It goes down way more than that. But calm down. Settle down. You don't have to protect the overlords that much. PlayStation Network is reliable. I watch outages. PSN is down far more than Xbox. It's everything. They all use the same fucking things. They all go down. Sarge says, because they don't care about the countries they don't make enough money from, charging more to the countries that do is all they need. True. Yeah. Specific clientele. Ron says, PlayStation customers service sucks ass cheeks. Couldn't refund a game I accidentally put in my cart, and I have automatically downloaded set. See, I don't like that. If they show you that you haven't, like, they can see the time, right? They can see the time that you've put into the game. They should be able to give a refund. I don't like that at all. Let me see what you guys are saying over here. GDP says the guy thinks the brief outage is going to impact token. No, that's not what he was talking about. Did you listen to what he said? He was saying about the usage of it. It was making computers skyrocket in temperature, and it was stuttering and crashing. Not because of the servers, because of Sony. That was one part of the problem. The other part of the problem was the unoptimization of it, saying that he really liked the game, but it was not optimized. Waterbear says, fighting games on PC aren't big. Yeah, I would assume it's going to be a small fraction of the overall fighting game clientele, but you still need it, right? You still need that to build the you need a player base, especially for the live service aspect of it. Being concerned about the digital rights is a legit concern. Crying about network outages is ridiculous. He's talking about it, though, in a way where if it is digital and everything is digital, and then when you want to play your video game, if the server's down, that's bad. That's why he's correlating it to it. He's not specifically saying that the outage, do you see? Do you see? He's saying, look, the outage happens, and when the outage happens, you could lose stuff. There's been people that talks about how they lose their whole library because of a oopsie, because of the servers, right? And then it's a pain in the ass for them to go all the way back in and try to get their stuff. Some of them don't get their stuff back. That's what he's talking about. Clip says, did you not hear him talking about people that had to work and was also the only time to play the game? They couldn't. This is what he's meaning. Right. He's talking about in just general. This is why you shouldn't be like, if I want to play a game that's on physical disc, I just take the disc and put it in the machine, right? And play the game whenever I come home or whatever, right? With a always online type of game, which token is, it's a live service game. But if it's an online game only and there is no physical disc and you want to play it, but you can't because the server's down. And he says, if you want to play a different game, you can't play that one either because that's also online. You can't play that one, right? And that's the fundamental problem. All right, the next story we're going to talk about. This one makes my blood boil. All right. So Polygon has an article about, for its 50th anniversary, Star Wars is retelling the original trilogy. So San Diego Comic-Con went on this weekend. They made a lot of announcements for Marvel and Star Wars and stuff like that. Right. So Star Wars is heading back to the Skywalkers next year. I'm sure Krebsy is going to be really excited about this, right? So if you guys don't know, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just cover news stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right. So this article is the 50th anniversary of Star Wars is just around the corner, and Lucasfilm is pulling out all the stops for celebrating a legendary original trilogy. They gave birth to the galaxy Galaxy Changes franchise is beloved by millions around the globe. Now, Disney's 50th anniversary plans aren't just beholden to putting the original film on IMAX at your local theater. At Lucasfilm's publishing San Diego Comic-Con panel this year, the company revealed a long upcoming books for fans of all ages, genre preference. But let's be honest, emphasizes this clearly on the original trilogy. It says, our biggest highlight of the event is undoubtedly the upcoming graphic novel for siblings Chase, okay? Titled Star Wars: A New Hope, a triple take. The novel retells A New Hope from perspective of its three legendary heroes, Luke Skywalker, Leia, and Han Solo. But if you're someone who is also expecting more than just looking back at the past, don't fret. There's a ton of exciting about from a new story exploring Kylo Ren's next steps. So the prequel following Luke Skywalker, Biggs Darklighter as kids. Here's everything you need to know. So the Star Wars, this is the one I want to focus on, right? The Star Wars: A New Hope, a triple take. Okay, so the writers, the newcomers of Star Wars, but the two have experience in graphic novels following young adults and kids in a huge adventure with the popular flip book series, Double Booking. And now the bigger adventure than one of the brought Luke, Leia, and Han together. The retelling might hold surface level at first, but given how different Luke, Leia, and Han are from one another, it's exciting to see a new perspective on how three heroes deep insight into the thoughts of the original film. Okay, so it says it celebrates the 50 years. This is the official synopsis. Celebrate 50 years of Star Wars with the wild graphic novel retelling the Galaxy Changes adventures and started it all. Sibling writers of Star Wars newcomers, Chase Pegburn and Tim Shira, Double Booking pen, fulfilled multi-perspective retelling of reimaginations of the events of Star Wars: A New Hope through the eyes of Rebellion most notable heroes, Leia, Han, and Luke. Luke remembers a larger-than-life myth journey and destiny encourages Leia recalls the dangerous realities of rebellion against the Empire, and Han and mostly remembers how incredibly heroic he was. See the iconic story as you ever seen before, from Darth Vader's terrifying first appearance to the denizens of Mos Eisley Cantina, okay, destruction of the Death Star and fans. So what I don't like about this, okay, is that you're retelling a story that's already been told from a different perspective, instead of just doing the same thing. And from a ground point of view, people are like, oh, it's not a big deal, you know, whatever it is. My problem is that this becomes now the new starting point for people. Instead of just going back and reading the book or watching the movie and telling you the story from what that point perspective is, because that is the story. Now you have this book, right? And this book tells you that this is what it is. And if they change things in this book, down the road when you're like, oh, this is how Star Wars is, they're like, well, actually, this is from this book, and this is what they said, and that becomes the new. And that overpowers the lore that came before it. This is why I hate when there's connection pieces like this, when they purposely do this, because they know if they write this and it sells well or doesn't sell well, it doesn't really matter in their eyes. This is the new lore. This is the new thing. This is like, take a story, rewrite the story in your own ways, and like, well, this is it. This is the new story. This is how it's portrayed now going forward, right? Just like what happened during the actual shows when Kiamundi was changed, and he wasn't even supposed to be born yet, but then he was born, and now he's older than he is, but it kind of breaks the whole lore of what it is. It doesn't matter anymore because now that is the lore, and people look at that and go, well, it's not a big deal. Right? They just hand wave stuff. And this is why I don't like this specific type of thing where they're going back to change the stories. Instead of saying other stories from that era, they're changing the stories from the people in the story that you already beloved. And they're trying to change the remake, basically, of Star Wars. Okay, they're going on also Star Wars Twin Crossroads. Beth Reeves, a renowned sci-fi fantasy author known as previous Star Wars works like a 2017 origin story of Jen Orso, Rebel Rising, 2022 romance Han Solo and Leia. Princess Leia's The Scoundrel makes a notable comeback in 2027. This time she offers a fan glimpse into the period only hinted in The Rise of Skywalker, which they showed Luke training, Leia. Okay. Outside that, there's a non-canonical expanded universe. There truly have not been enough stories focusing on Skywalker's siblings and their relationship with one another. Now, this one I'm okay with because if they're going back, but they're taking a small little glimpse of him training her, and now they're telling a story. I'm kind of okay with this because it's not changing the origin story. Basically, it's giving you a glimpse into them training, Luke training Leia. So I'm okay with this. Okay. Star Wars, a celebration book is coming out, which is not a big deal. Galactic Tales of Terror. It says, while also being in the galaxy full of space battles and aliens, Star Wars has never stuck to one genre, right? So they have like I guess it's going to be like a horror type of thing. And then we got the Kylo Ren one, which I don't know if a lot of people are interested in, but, they're doing it. Hyperspace Stories, Bad Batch, Rogue Agents. I like the Bad Batch cartoon series. It's good. So it's funny because they announced a whole bunch of books, right? A whole bunch of books at San Diego Comic-Con, but they didn't show anything. There's no stories of what's happening with Star Wars, like for movies. Remember years ago, Kathleen Kennedy announced like fucking 15 films. And yet here we are in 2026. We had Mando. We had Mando, and it bombed at the box office. It's already coming out on streaming services, and they have no future, no roadmap ahead of what's happening with Star Wars, which is mind-boggling to me. San Diego Comic-Con was filled with, Marvel news and Star Trek news and all this other stuff, but Star Wars was just... And the 50th anniversary is next year. The only one that's coming out next year is the Starfighter movie with Ryan Gosling next year. And then obviously now Ryan Gosling is also Ghost Rider in 2028. So 2027, Ryan Gosling's in a Star Wars film. And then 2028, he's in a Marvel film. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the book that's coming out, right? No big deal. You're like, it doesn't matter. Star Wars is dead to me anyway. Who cares, right? My whole thing is Harry Potter is a book. Harry Potter is also the movie. There's more information in a book because there's no budget in a book, right? Your imagination is endless. In a movie, you have to put all the stuff in the movie. George Lucas made Star Wars, told the story as is, has gone back to try to make Star Wars in is more of his vision because of technology has caught up to it. But now Disney is just taking Star Wars, the original, and changing it because they're changing the story in any way, shape, or form they can to then change the future of what Star Wars is. I have a personal problem when they do stuff like this, like I said, because if Harry Potter, someone rewrote Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling's, is no longer with us in the future, and someone's like, well, I'm going to rewrite the story, right? It's different than what's happening right now where they're redoing the shows. If they rewrite the original book and then change the tale, where instead of, Harry Potter, it's now Hermione Granger as the lead, or they change the race or the sex of the character, to me, that's just completely wrong. It's like, just go tell a different story. Just go tell a new story. But they don't want to do that because they don't know if the new story is going to sell. They don't know if the new content is going to be successful. So they rather take something that has a baked-in audience and then change it and just completely change the avenue of what it is. And that's what I have a problem with. Leave the original stuff alone. Do not touch the original stuff. Just tell all the stories in the world, in the thing, or just make a new character, make a new story, try to become, I don't know, artistic. All right. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. Let me see what you guys are saying. Water Bear says 30. Remake, remasters. This is the way of everything, the entertainment these days. Yeah, because they know it's a baked-in audience. They know it's a baked-in audience. They're like, well, if we get this, we're going to get a small percentage of this, and we already have. And if we get blowback, it doesn't really matter because we'll have people come around. And now with social media, they could just hire bots. Pay for bots, and bots react to things differently. They'll be like, oh no, this is the greatest thing ever. It's the great. Oh, I'm so happy they did this. It's like, shut up. Mr. Luke says we got the Marvel movie and only one TV show. Water says I'll be interested in reading the Bad Batch and Vader one. Yeah, they didn't tease Starfighter either. They didn't show like what is Lucas doing? Like what are they doing? They're at San Diego Comic-Con. They're like, yeah, no, we're not gonna. When does that movie come out? When does that come out? Does it come out before the next Comic-Con next year? When is that? Was it Star Wars? What's it called? Star Wars Starfighter, right? May 28th. So it comes out before San Diego Comic-Con next year. It's like, why wouldn't you show it? I don't understand. I don't understand. This is the start of a new normal nonsense. Don't retelling A New Hope chapter to make it more clear, to make it ours, or for Disney. They don't even care about the George Lucas OT trilogy. Ray says Hollywood spent millions on the movie. Let a bad fan fiction writer make the script. I'm okay if they tell new stories, but you know they want to go remake the original, right? Because now think about this, right? Let's say the book comes out. Let's say the book sells decently, okay? Just sells decently. Or it's a blockbuster hit, bestseller for Star Wars, the retelling of the trilogy or retelling of the New Hope. Well, then they're going to make that into a movie. If they make that into a movie, well, then that is redoing what the original movie was. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to do that. You don't need to make Back to the Future again. You just go watch Back to the Future. It's a good movie. Like, you don't need to go make Gone with the Wind. You don't need to go make Wizard of Oz. They're there. You can go rent them, go watch them, go look at the movie. Somebody are like, well, that's an old film. Yeah, it is. But it doesn't need to be remade in a shittier format to do worse than what the, you know what I'm saying? Like, just go watch the original if you're interested in the original. AHF says, the only Star Wars thing I'm hyped for is the pod racing game. It looks actually pretty good. It actually looks pretty good. I gotta see more details of like the leveling process and stuff like that. I'll get it on a sale. I'm not gonna get it when it comes out, but it does look interesting. I used to love that pod racing game back in the arcade. So good. That pod racing game was so good. Crowded House, what's going on? Good morning. There's a lot of movies coming out that I want to see. It's unusual. I think that what's it's getting back to, Crowded. There's a lot of we went through a huge portion of time. Now I don't know what you're interested in, but we went through a huge portion of time in movies. Now I stopped going to the theaters when my son was born in 2014 because you just don't have a lot of time, and I'm not one of those parents that likes to bring their crying baby to a theater. So there's a lot of time I didn't go to the theater, but leading up to that, there was just blockbuster, right? And we used to go to the movies when you were younger, and you would see like independent films, and you would see horror films, and you would see, but it was just like this. I don't know if it's Disney, I don't know if it's Marvel that really like hone this in, because there's like the Fast and Furious and stuff like that. It's just constant blockbuster, right? And a lot of the blockbuster films are not good films. They're entertaining films, but they're not good films. And I think what's happening now is there's more people starting to make those like shitty movies, but that are fun. Do you know what I mean? There's the fun movies, there's the independent movies, there's the rom-coms coming out again. There's the, right? Like there's a lot of different things coming out that are piquing people's interest instead of just the blockbuster film. I think that's what's happening right now. El Dente says, "Tell that to the yeah, but that's not a retelling of the Wizard of Oz. That is a prequel to Wizard of Oz." El Dente, they're not remaking the Wizard of Oz. You're taking a Broadway play that was, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years on Broadway, and you make it into the movie. And it does well. But that's a story. That's not the Wizard of Oz. Mr. Z says, Zero Company, The Racer. Yes, please. Morning, Mr. Z. Waterbear says, the Pod Racer does look interesting. Ray says, I'm interested about the Zero Company game, but how the CIS route, just goody, two shoes Republican storyline. I got to see more of it. We watched gameplay last week, right? We watched a couple videos last week about it. Jesse Mack says, if Starfighter flops with Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy, what then? Ghost Rider director Sean Levy is making it, but people perhaps don't want to see it. Well, that's a risk they're going to have to take, but it'll already be in the can by that time, right? I mean, if it's coming out in 2028, they're going to be filming it in early 2027. El Dente says, I'm excited for the pod racing game. My fiance thinks she's gonna beat me on it. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. What's going on, Big Mo? Ryan Gosling's on the generational run of movies, close to Jim Carrey in the 90s, banger after banger. Yeah, we haven't watched, was it Hail Mary? I haven't watched that yet. Me and my wife want to watch that. I like Ryan. It was funny. I watched a clip of Ryan in an interview. I want to say it was like 3 years ago. And the guy that was interviewing him was like really like hounding him on. He's like, you know, are you a Ghost Rider? Are you Ghost Rider? Are you Ghost Rider? Are you Ghost Rider? And Ryan was just sitting there like, you know, it's hard. It's hard to say, whatever. And that guy asked the question at San Diego Comic-Con, and then he came on stage, and Ryan was announced as Ghost Rider. So I thought that was pretty funny. AHFP says, maybe that's a hot take, but I don't know why Sony doesn't just buy limited run games, plus sell an external optical drive for PlayStation 6. Short runs of games generally align with the demand, like a records store model. Here's the thing. The problem with, if you have a PlayStation, the original PlayStation 5 that came out with a disc drive, the disc drive doesn't need to talk to the mothership, right? You can just put discs in and it plays. But when they sold the slim version and they sold the separate disc drive, the disc drive has to sign into the mothership, basically, right? So I think the problem is that even if you got the disc drive now, in the future, and again, this is not a Sony thing. This is going to be an Xbox thing. This is going to be a Sony thing. This is going to be... A lot of people are going to be like, oh yeah, you put the disc in, but you're still going to have to contact the mothership. You're not going to own the discs. There's a lot of discs out there that are not the discs. There's a gentleman that I watched the video last week. He bought the big $300 edition of Halo. We got the statue and all this other stuff, and there's no disc in the box. It's just a code, right? So it's more and more of this straight digital. And if they do a limited run game type of stuff, I'm fine with that. And I think my prediction was that they will turn it back, but then physical discs will be higher price, right? So if you're a gamer that wants physical discs, you will be playing $100, right? While the digital disc, while the digital disc is like $70, $80, $90, whatever it is. That's the way I think it's going to go. See, my stance is movies are digital and they're physical, right? And if I buy a movie physical, it also gives me a digital code. Music, I can buy digital or physical, okay? Some also music, if you buy the disc, also gives you the digital download. And then there's books where you can buy physical and you can buy digital. But for some reason, gaming is like, no, you can no longer have physical. And I don't understand why they're getting, I mean, I understand from a business perspective, but why is it all other medium, right? Movies, music, and books get to have physical and digital, but gaming, they're not allowed. And that is the major crux of my argument with this, right? People are talking about, we need to have customer protection, 100%. We need to have customer protection with physical stuff as well as digital. But people are like, no, let's get rid of the physical and then fight for the digital rights, which is so stupid because you should keep the physical and also fight for the rights of digital instead of just going, it's more convenient. Convenience gives up a lot of stuff, right? Convenience gives up a lot of stuff. And I don't want physical to go away, period, right? And people that are like, well, physical's dead, let it go. If you don't want to buy a physical, cool. But don't tell me what I can buy and what I can't buy, right? I want to buy physical for certain games. Other games, I'll play digital, right? Obviously, if it's a live service game, I don't need to buy the physical copy of it because there's no point. Regardless if I own the disc or not, they're going to shut down the server and it's gone. But if it's a single player game and I can play it offline afterwards, then I should do that. Now, see, what they're going to do is they'll be like, okay, we'll give you physical, but they're all going to be online. They're all going to be online. Look what Sony's doing. All of their games are moving towards live service games in the future. They're doubling down, tripling down on it, and they're not making physical games. Waterbear says, Ryan will make a great Ghost Rider. Let's not act like Nick was the greatest Ghost Rider. I actually prefer Robbie Reyes played the actor, Gabriel Luna. But also, Ryan will be cool. I think Ryan is fine. I think it's a good casting, especially if he wanted to play it himself. I mean, look, Ryan Reynolds, the other Ryan, okay, wanted to play Deadpool. And he became a really good Deadpool. So if Ryan Gosling thinks he could play a Ghost Rider because he's a fan of Ghost Rider, then let him cook. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's not, well, then we have a good Ghost Rider. When was the last even half-decent MCU movie? After Endgame? After Endgame. Or are you just saying in general? If it was after phase 1, 2, and 3, I'll say, well, Multiverse of Madness, no, it really wasn't that good. The last Thor was terrible. The last Black Panther wasn't very good. You know, I see most of them all after the fact. Deadpool versus Wolverine. Yeah, Deadpool versus Wolverine was good. And I have to say that Fantastic Four wasn't great. Wasn't great. But it was good. Fantastic Four reminded me of Phase 1, Phase 2 type of stuff. Yeah, Spider-Man doesn't count, Waterbear, because Spider-Man's Sony. Right? That's why I don't bring it up. Otherwise, Spider-Man would be the answer. But for MCU, Fantastic Four wasn't bad. It was good. Yeah, after Endgame, yeah. Shang-Chi's first 2 acts were good. The last one was just crap, and Win-Wu was actually a better character. I don't even think they needed Shang-Chi in that film. I like the first 30 minutes of Fantastic Four. Yeah, the Act 3 is also what suffers. You say first 30 minutes. I'll give it the first like 50. That's true. I generally do like. I like Tom Holland. I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I like the Spider-Man films. I think the Spider-Man films are done well. Yeah, I'm excited. We have tickets for this Friday to go watch Spider-Man. Shang-Chi felt like a side character in his own movie because he was. He was the side character. That's what I'm saying. I have a review that we did on our other channel, Nerding with 30. I don't know if it's up on Nerding with 30, but I was just like, I was so disappointed. And I went in with like an open mind because I didn't know who Shang-Chi character was. His father in that film is a much, much better character. Written, acted, like everything about his father in that film was a much better character than Shang-Chi himself. So much so that when Shang-Chi shows his face in Doomsday, I hope Gambit kills him in 3 seconds. Because I have no interest in that character. Zero interest. Like if Shang-Chi dies, I'm gonna be like, oh my God. Oh, he was so beloved. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. He didn't earn it. Aku says, I also run both streaming services. Plus, I've played. Oh, you're talking to. Okay. Not going to lie. I think Simu Liu is just a weak actor and couldn't carry the film. There's a lot out there, but how unhappy Disney was with him. Well, I think what he did outside the movie, like fighting people in the internet space and stuff like that, I think that was poor, you know. But yeah, just he got out acted. I don't know the actor's name that played his father off the top of my head. My apologies, but he was just out acted by the other gentleman. The story would have been so much better if they, but they rushed it, right? They rushed it. If they told the story of his father and then they brought in his son down the road, I think that would have been much better. But we didn't know anything about the character, right? No one knew about Shang-Chi or Wenwu, whatever, right? Is that what his name? His name was Wenwu, right? Am I wrong about that? Hold on one second. What's his father's name? Yeah, Wenwu, right? Like, he was such a much better character. Aquafina was terrible. Like, you could literally write her out of the complete and other movie and it wouldn't matter. She was pointless in the entire fucking thing until the bow at the end where she shot the flying creature. Right? She was pointless. He was such a good actor. And his name's Tony, how do you pronounce his name? Tony Chinwoo. Butchered it. Right? He was a much better actor. They could have told the story of Wenwu, okay? And then they could have maybe made the sequel about Shang-Chi, brought him in. Then you would have been connected to the father because it was a much better written character. And then you would have gotten liked Shang-Chi instead of cramming it all in one thing. And it was just bad. And people were fighting for that movie, man. They were fighting for it. They're like, oh, man, it did so well at the box office. It really didn't. It really didn't. They're like, oh, but it was during COVID. And then Spider-Man came out and made over, almost $2 billion. That's right. 30 and still butchering. If you have a name I can't pronounce, I will butcher it. That's definitely what you're going to get here. He wasn't written properly. Yeah, the Ben Kingsley guy, actor, his character was funny. Yeah, when you think of Shang-Chi, every good moment in that movie is about his father. Every single one. Hell, even the story of how he fell in love with his wife, right? That's a great story. The beginning of the movie was fantastic. And they completely butchered it. All right. We're going to move over to Bellular News. Bellular News has a video here called "The World is Turning on PlayStation." It came out about a day ago. We love watching Bellular News. He makes good content here. If you guys like his stuff, go check out his channel. Give it a like. Give it a sub. We're going to pause and talk and give a conversation of the topics he's talking about in this video. If you guys like it here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Jesse Mack says, Spider-Man, Tom Holland is not really good as being Spider-Man or Peter. He's not grown any with his movies, and the whole Tom Holland and carried by much bigger characters. Here's the thing going into this new movie. I'm excited to see it because I do like, this is the movie that he's supposed to grow. Right, Jesse? He's supposed to grow. Now, here we are, because remember, we're watching Peter in high school. Now he broke away from his high school friends, but they brought him back. They brought him back in this film, and I'm just like, come on, man. Right? I was okay that they introduced those characters and whatnot in the first three films, and I was like, okay, cool. Now they're making a fourth film, which he said he wasn't going to do. Tom Holland said after the third one he wasn't going to do a fourth one, but it made so much money. They're like, yeah, you're coming back, Tom. He'll probably make a fifth and a sixth one, by the way. I thought he was going to grow more as a character. But we'll see. I'm watching it Friday. AHF says, I mean, 6+ years, no sequel, and a small upcoming cameo in Doomsday tells us exactly how much confidence the studio has in him. Yep, 100%. Let's see here. Aku says 30. I like Shang-Chi mostly because I grew up in Asia and also did a good job on the culture stuff. Yeah, but the character himself was, first of all, it was based off of Bruce Lee, which is fine, right? Love Bruce Lee. Okay. But they didn't do a good job with Shang-Chi. They did a fantastic job with his father. The writing was terrible. All right, let's watch Bellular news here. Let me make sure it's not. All right, it's on normal. All right, here we go.
Game from 2028, Sony alone decides what a game costs and even how long you are allowed to use it. Now, those are not my
Is it loud enough for you guys? Let me know if it's loud enough. If it's not loud enough, I can boost it.
words. They are lifted from a legal claim that PlayStation are fighting in court right now. And what it alleges is bad for you. That, not the market, not a retailer putting on a sale or anything like that, that those things will not dictate the price of a game. Because going forward, there is one storefront, one price.
This is the problem that I think a lot of people are not seeing. Right? A lot of people think that we hate because they're going digital. No, we hate that they're going digital and they can put them all on their store and they're the ones focusing on what the price is, how long it goes on sale. Like there is no middleman anymore. It's only theirs. It's only on their store.
And zero way around it, because that is what the end of discs actually means.
Correct.
And as it turns out, that's not even the only major legal case that we have to deal with in this video. A lawsuit over PlayStation Store just settled in California. A $2 billion class action currently sits with a tribunal in London. In Poland, regulators are investigating. Over in Mexico, the lawmakers are circling.
See, there are people fighting. There are people pushing back on this. There are people doing this, you know?
And in the Netherlands, the disc announcement dropped literally in the middle of a live court hearing. They are absolutely in a PR and legal storm of their own making. But they do know that, and here's a quote from an expert. They, of course, knew what the online reaction would look like. And
of course. Right? It says, speaking to IGN, the firm, okay, it says even 500,000 people canceled their PlayStation Plus subscription. It says suggested that even if 500,000 people canceled their PlayStation Plus subscription in protest, it would be just a drop in the ocean for Sony, which is not going to change its mind. And they're right about that, right? They're right about that. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't do what you're doing, right? Like stick by, like if you're a person that says, I don't like this, right? Whatever company, like take Sony out of this. Right? I don't care if it's your pizza joint down the road and they fucked you over in some way, shape, or form. You don't give them business, right? If it's a gas station, if it's a car company, if it's a phone provider, right? Whoever it is, stay true to yourself, right? Be like, I don't like this. I'm not supporting this.
they now wait for this storm to pass. Now, that was the read in the overall situation that analyst Dr. Serkan Toto gave to IGN, only days after PlayStation announced the end of discs. And what he said did make sense, because that is so very often how things go. Even with PlayStation, the whole no disc, no buy boycott splintered the moment.
Yeah, mine's not a boycott. I'm not saying everyone get on board, let's sign the... No, just if you don't like someone and you think they're screwing you over, stop hanging out with them. Stop giving them business. Stop eating at their restaurant. Stop buying their product.
The 2 digital-only Black Ops ports arrived. But the storm has not fully passed, and while comment sections full of angry gamers may be survivable to Sony, what could hurt a lot more is, of course, the courtrooms. Now, when it comes to using our computers, especially as developers, stuff is changing so fast. And boot.dev are keeping up with that. Now, of course, you don't have to like AI coding tools to maybe want to understand what they're actually doing. In fact, skepticism is probably a better reason
I'm gonna
to
fast
actually
forward
go and take
to
a
the
look under the
end
bonnet.
of boot.dev.
And that's the idea. He was talking about the money side.
Here, hold on.
plan. When Serkan Toto said the storm would pass, he was talking about the money side of things. The, little financials, as maybe some people cancel their PS Pluses or choose not to buy a game. Basically, per his maths, those sorts of things wouldn't even matter, and he framed that even, say, 500,000 cancellations would be like a 1% drop in the overall Sony numbers. The sort of thing that...
Yeah, but see, saying this, when you see reports of this and you see people talking about this, all this is manufactured to do, and believe me, this is manufactured to tell you, well, there's no point to do what you're doing. There's no point to feel the way you're feeling because it's not going to affect them in any way, shape, or form. That is what this is made for. This is why they go to outlets. This is why they sing, get quote from this person, go to this X person, right? They do this to go, oh, well, see, there's no point to do this, so don't do it.
Wouldn't really be a dent in their digital revenue. It just wouldn't matter. But what would matter is, say, no disk drives to build for the PS6, no discs to press, things like that that'd save PlayStation money. But not just that, because the cost of pressing a disc is probably less than the opportunity cost of that factory doing that instead of something else, and we now know that at least one of those factories has been repurposed for optical components. And the argument is, of course, that enough of the audience already buy digital to cover the shortfall from those who never will.
But there's still 20% that still buy physical, and they're just throwing them out.
So if you want to stick by your principles, it's basically, yeah, sure, but nobody else really will, and you'll just be depriving yourself of games. And it's the sort of thing where...
That's right. Deprive yourself of games, but you can go other places to play games. There's so many places to play video games now.
I hate those vibes, but I do think it's broadly true. It's how boycotts tend to go when it's over something that people fundamentally do want. If you are a little bit from the past, you may remember Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 having no dedicated servers in PC, and that famous Steam screenshot of...
Waterbear says 80-20. This is why they don't give a shit. Right, but remember, they don't give a shit now. But in the long term, remember, there's still no growth. Right? There's still no growth. So they still have to sell PlayStations to get the people to buy it, right? The only people that they're really affecting right now, is that it's only the people on PlayStation, right? Because once they go full digital, only the people on PlayStation have to deal with all digital. Now, there's all digital over on PC, and this is what the Sony guys will fight and go, well, this is how it is on PC. But what they don't understand is, on PC, you have multiple places to buy your games, right? You have multiple ways of going other ways to get your games if you really want to, okay? On Sony, you have one way, Sony's way, and that is the issue. And that's what the people over here are trying to fight for. They're like, hey, no, don't let this happen. Don't let, like, I don't even own a PlayStation, okay? I don't own a PlayStation. I don't want physicals to go away because I know that you are going to get screwed over in the end. I don't want that to happen for you because I know if I don't say stuff, then it's going to happen. If it happens, then I'd screw myself over because they're going to notice it, and then other places are going to do the exact same thing, and then we have no choice. And that is the bad part about this whole thing, right? Everyone thinks it's a Sony thing. No, this is an industry thing, man, right? You can't let a company do this because if they do it, then it affects me. See, I help my neighbor. If my neighbor's house is on fire, I run over there and try to help him put it out or save everything that can possibly be saved. That's what I would do. That's the type of person I am, okay? I don't sit here and go, oh, well, that's not my house. That's not who I am, okay?
The Steam group for the boycott on launch night, where most of them were playing the damn game that they said they would boycott. And the thing is, the data behind Sony's bet does look kind of brutal. As an example, when the new Wolverine trailer was flooded with more than 10,000 comments, most asking for discs, Zircana's Matt Piscatella answered with some numbers. He said that in the week ending July 11th, exactly 2 PlayStation games sold more than 10,000.
Again, this is just to reinforce yourself that, see, it's a losing battle. There's no reason to do anything. They did this back in the war days to defeat people with propaganda stuff. It works today, the same as it did back then.
Physical copies in the US and across every PlayStation release.
You know what Matt Piscatella doesn't tell you? Matt Piscatella doesn't tell you who his clients are because they're a private firm. This is not like it's a regular data from the government here. This is a private firm that he has clients that pay him money to give him data to get the data for them so they can do stuff, right? So they have information so they can charge more, right? So don't take anything as this is it. Matt Piscatella said it. No, he's got clients that pay him money to get data, and then he sends it out because that's how he makes that's how he makes money. That's how he brings people in. Then other people start talking about his stats, other articles, other journalists, and they give him more credibility because of it.
PS4 and PS5, first party and third party, 7 games have passed 100,000 physical copies sold so far this year. Those obviously are plenty of sales, but they're pretty small compared to the rest.
Now, those analytics ended up proving a little bit controversial. A lot of people didn't really believe what was going on or had questions.
You can't take any of this at face value. Just like I don't expect you to take anything I'm saying at face value. Do your research, right? If you truly care, do your research. If you don't care, then close your eyes, shut your ears, turn the channel. I don't care. See what I'm saying? Be an informed customer.
So, Piscatella went a bit further in response to a few conspiracy theories that he was basically underselling how these physical games had been performing in the US. So Matt then shared this trend line of total new physical game sales per year, and it is under 40 million per year in the US.
This is not talking. This is new games. This is new games in the U.S. This is not including secondhand games that people go buy because you guys don't buy new games, right? You buy old games, so you get your games secondhand, right? This is also not people from outside the United States, where I think it's like 50% of the people in the UK, if not more, buy physical games, and other countries buy physical games. Why? Because they can't afford the brand new games.
Over the last 2 years. But on PlayStation, they haven't sold more than 20 million physical units in a year since 2021. And of the 7 games that have exceeded the 100,000 physical sales bar within the first half of the year, he says that so far, not one of those, that they can track anyway, has sold more.
Yeah, that they can track anyway. Well, guess what? They don't want you to track. You find it convenient that Xbox doesn't share their sales numbers? Do you find it funny that these companies don't share their sales numbers until something sells well, and then they tell you it sells well? Until then, they lie, they manipulate, they say certain things, they say players or unit. You know what I'm saying? They don't tell you the actual number unless it sells. Isn't it crazy that Pal World, who doesn't have a system, has just made a game, told you that they've sold 30 million units? Isn't it weird that WB with Hogwarts Legacy told you they sold 30 million people or 35 million people, right? Like actual units sold, right? They didn't say like Ubisoft where they're like, oh, we have 5 million players, 3.4 million players, right? When they want to tell you the numbers, they'll scream it from the hilltops. But when they don't, they have to go through somebody else, and that person has to manipulate the numbers, okay, or say it in a way where they're not manipulating the numbers, but they're manipulating it in a way, #1 movie at the box office. Well, great. It's not a lie. It's #1 movie at the box office. But no other movie came out this weekend. So, of course, the movie that's not doing good is #1 at the box office because no other movie came out at the box office, right? They do this all the time.
More than 275,000 units. Overall then, the trend line for demand in the US does look rather clear.
Now that's far from the only discussion and analysis as went on in this. Many have suggested that the top line data is basically a result of PlayStation manipulating numbers to make...
Please read and understand. Okay, so Pyro5 here says, we have to talk about the physical versus digital data. A lot of people still buy physical games on PlayStation 5, more than you think. Way more. Please really understand what Sony is doing and trying to force digital games. In my opinion, they should not even be legal. Fiscal year 2025, full year, April 2025 to 2026, the digital to physical split was 78% to 22%. But this does not tell the whole story because this is all games sold, not all games that have physical copies and digital. So majority of the 78 to 22 split don't even have physical. Let's look at some real numbers.
make digital look good. The claim is that around 80% of games are sold digitally. Now, the argument is that this is comparing all digital games with only games sold in stores, which is of course a false equivalence. There's loads of games available in the PlayStation Store that you will not be able to find in a physical store. So it doesn't really seem sense. It doesn't really seem fair. But that's not the only thing people point to.
78-22 split, doesn't even physical, looked at real numbers, leaks, stats. So if you have here from Insomniac Leak, this is back in what, 2022, 2023? God of War Ragnarok, 76% physical, 24% digital. Lego Star Wars Saga, 63% physical, 37%. Oh, we read this a couple weeks ago.
There's the data that is from the 2023 Insomniac hack. That's really interesting because it showed that only 33% of sales were digital for copies of games like, say, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, or 57% for Ghost of Tsushima Director's
Astrobot only sold, what, 3.3 million copies? And 55% of that was physical? It's pretty good, huh?
Cut. Basically, with numbers like that, it sure seems that when given the option, people bought physical at over 2 to 3 times the rate.
That's because they had a choice to buy physical. If they don't have a choice to buy physical and they want to play the game, well, guess what? They bought digital because they don't have a choice.
That Sony's top line number implies. But just because some data seems to support the argument doesn't make it solely manipulation. We always have to remember, in all things, not just something like this, that while you can have one bit of really convincing looking data, there is often a wider picture and there's often context. One of the reasons you can't just look at one medical trial or scientific paper and just take it as being perfect and gold. Now, one wrinkle to this is Sony's financials actually suggests that they overstate the impact of physical games.
Hardware and revenue from game consoles, including PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Physical software and revenue from the first-party game software to PlayStation consoles sold on discs to retailers. Royalties from the third-party software sold on discs, and revenue from the first and third-party game software sold bundled with PlayStation consoles and PlayStation VR. The digital is revenue from the full game downloads, both first and third-party titles sold on PlayStation Store. Add-on content revenue from digital content other than full games sold on PlayStation Store, such as in-game currency, in-game items, and expansion packs. Other software revenue from sales on the first-party titles. Other titles are published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, including add-on content on platforms other than PlayStation consoles. Network services revenue recognized through PlayStation Plus and advertising revenue. This does not include game software revenue. Other primary includes revenue from peripherals, including PlayStation VR. Hardware units are also disclosed on sell-in basis. Number 9, the figures of PlayStation 5 hardware units in quarter 2 and quarter 3 of fiscal year 2025 were previously originally disclosed at 3.9 and 8, respectively, and have been revisited as shown as the above chart. Software unit sales include PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 software, including software bundled with PlayStation consoles and PlayStation VR in all regions. Full game software digital downloads ratio and calculated by dividing PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 full game software units sold versus digital transactions by full game software units. And monthly active users are estimated total number of unique accounts that played games or used servers or services online PlayStation during the last month of quarter based on the company's research.
You see, they also count revenue from first and third-party game software sold bundled with PlayStation consoles and PlayStation VR. Now, the latter may be literally several games, but there is something we should think about there. The 80-20 split is actually subsidized by every game bundled with a new console, and those copies count as physical. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that Sony are right and that the community's wrong. Far from it.
Remember when Sony used the give 3+ games heavily discounted on the PlayStation 4?
Actually, I think it's very much the case, though, that what Sony are doing is really unpopular with many of us. Because of that, there is data out there that does cast doubt on what Sony is saying. And it's absolutely the case that, yeah, Sony are totally going to, supply the numbers they've got that make their stuff look the best, that makes their new direction look very sensible. They'll obviously want to do that. And while on the conspiratorial side, things do look convincing if you solely contain it to just those numbers being talked about, those are also not all of the numbers, and loads of those numbers are just, ones that we do not have. Sometimes, though...
Right, we don't have the numbers, and they're only going to tell us the numbers that they want us to hear.
There can be a more simple and cold truth than just the conspiracy. I think it is the case that there still is a sizable market for physical games. That's obviously true to just about anyone, including PlayStation. And I think, quite simply, PlayStation have decided that it's now small enough for them to leave behind. I mean, what? 10,000 comments under a trailer and no response?
Well, the thing is that if they keep it going, right, and I've talked about this in the past as well, if they keep the physical games going, or I'm sorry, if they take the physical games away, they're going to lose right off the bat, sort of like what Xbox lost when they raised the price from 20 to 30, right? They lost about 4 million people, 5 million people that stopped playing for Game Pass because they're like, I'm done with this company, right? That's what's going to happen here. You're going to lose the 4 to 5 million people that probably won't come back to PlayStation. But the long haul is that the other people, maybe the other 15 million people that are like, I still buy physical. They're like, oh, well, they'll start trying to justify it in their head. They'll be like, well, you know, I already have these games here. My friends are here. And they'll slowly come over, right? Well, Sony, instead of letting it slowly happen over the next 10 years, they said, and they just ripped off the Band-Aid. And they said, we'll lose the chunk off the bat, and then the rest of them will come over. So we'll keep that. So we'll only lose the 5%. And over the next decade, can we get that percentage back or charge more to the people that are already here, which they are? Because once they go full digital, they get 100% of the profits from their game store themselves, right? Obviously, they're still selling the third-party games, and they get a percentage to the third party. But they make more percentage off of those each of those as well.
They obviously think they can tank it, and it seems they are pretty sure that all the people who care about this have made a lot of noise, and it's not enough to make them reconsider their plan. And the prize for leaving those people to them is worth having, because what it means...
Let's do a what-if moment here. Let's do a what-if moment, right? What if the actual gamers, right? What if the people that are diehard Sony fans that'll go no matter what, and you can do this for Xbox as well. Let's just say the company itself, whatever company that is, decides that they're done, right? Sega's not here anymore, right? The Sega Dreamcast is done. People still like the Sega Dreamcast. People still bought the Sega Dreamcast, but people are like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. And the company went under. What happens if that happens to Sony or Xbox, where they're just like, you know what? We're done. They had a great time, and they're just gone. Are the people that are left that still like that company, do they blame everybody else and go, well, see, we still would have had Sony, we still would have had Xbox if you just paid your way? But the majority of the people spoke. They didn't want a Sega Dreamcast anymore. They didn't want a Google Stadia anymore. They didn't want the Atari anymore, right? None of these companies are protected forever. Xbox, Sony, in the future, there'll be a time where these companies don't exist in this field or ever, okay? Even if they're $1 trillion company, even if they're $1 billion company, in the future, they don't have to exist because the people have spoken. Now, is this going to happen overnight? No, it's not going to happen overnight. But companies come and go all the time. And people are defend them because they feel like that the company is giving them the best, but they're doing minimal viable product, okay? And the people that were paying their money want the best for the least, and the company wants the most for the shittiest, right? As people say, the shitification of stuff, that's what's happening right now in the video game space, right? The shitification of video games where they come out broke, buggy, and unfinished, and they get fixed 18 months. Now, this has been happening for years ago, but there was still physical and the digital. Now there's just going to be nothing. It's just going to be all digital, and the games are going to be broke, and they're going to be buggy, and you're going to pay a monthly subscription, and there's going to be a point where people are like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore.
Is full price control with no second-hand market. It means stronger monthly active users thanks to, well, downloads and store access, and it means even better margin on production and sales. And what's been so left out of the conversation is that this did not start with a disc announcement. This is actually a plan Sony's been working toward.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, right? Right? PlayStation has so much control on the market share. They could do almost anything. Remember when Apple removed the headphone jack? Remember also when they stopped shipping phones with chargers? Yeah, we all just kind of just took it. We're like, and you paid the same, by the way, right? They used to come with headphones, right? They used to come with the charging, right? And now they come with the phone and a cable, if you're lucky, right? And yet you pay just as much as you did before.
Since 2019.
I'm going to rewind that just for a second here.
In sales. And what's being so left out of the conversation is that this did not start with a disc announcement. This is actually a plan Sony's been working toward since 2019. And it's also part of the same thing that's got them in court. In 2019, PlayStation stopped allowing third-party stores to sell digital copies of their games. And since 2021, that has been biting them in the legal ass. Though at least their lawyers will, of course, be able to justify their existence, so a big win for them.
GameStop stores just got a memo saying that Sony will no longer provide full game digital download codes to retailers. Not just GameStop. Starting April 1st, this is back in 2019, digital games, we covered this on GXG way back when, will only be available straight from PlayStation Network after the date. Add-on content, PSN/cards will be available. Here's the first full text outlining these changes, right? Everyone just kind of went by this. They didn't care. They didn't care. And they don't care now. Frog in pot.
At least they're loyal.
And see, when people bring up stuff like this, right? Like me and Sarge on GXG way back when, okay? Nobody cares, and we're crying. But we're just trying to give information. We're just trying to give you information so you can be a better customer.
Lawyers will, of course, be able to justify their existence, so a big win for them. But what I mean when I say bit them in the ass, that is when consumers filed a lawsuit that actually just ended with a $7.85 million settlement in California.
What is $78.5 million to Sony? Nothing. Nothing. Right? They got a court hearing, and here we are 5 years later, and they lost $78 million. It's $7.8 million. I don't even think it was $78 million.
For them. But what I mean when I say bit them in the ass, that is when consumers filed a lawsuit that actually just ended with a
$7.85 million. What is that to Sony? Absolutely nothing.
$1 million settlement in California. It's argued that players were getting worse deals because of PlayStation reducing competition. Over in the UK, then, there's a class action suit worth $2 billion. It finished.
Now, there you go. That's where it needs to be, in the billions.
Being heard in May, and it's being considered by the tribunal currently. Then, over in Poland, their Office of Consumer Protection.
You know what happens? You don't need to go to court for any of this, right? If you just stop supporting something, you don't have to go to court. You don't need to pay for lawyers. You don't need to do anything. You just literally just stop paying. You just stop watching. You stop paying for their games. You don't buy their systems. And you don't have to go to court. No one loses money. They don't have to pay out money. There's no in court for 3 to 4 to 5 years. It's just what happened. What happened?
Has been investigating since 2024. Mexican lawmakers are promising to take complaints to the country's antitrust commission, and I have to imagine that's far from the end of it, especially because PlayStation's decision to kill physical games has absolutely galvanized all of these movements, and it's made their arguments stronger. And here's the thing, that case that the announcement of physical games dying quite literally interrupted live in court, it is the one to watch because it could really matter. So, it was the Dutch
nonprofit had to say executive statement to WCCF Tech. Quote, the end of physical disc removes the last place where PlayStation game could still be bought and sold at a competitive price. No disc means no secondhand market and no alternative to PlayStation Store. So from 2028, Sony alone decides what games cost and even how long they're allowed to use it.
Class action.
If you're okay with that, cool. Then you can go on. You don't need to listen anymore. Consume.
Case was brought by a non-profit. I'm not going to mangle their name, but it was brought by them, and the hearing kicked off at the very end of June this year, so it is very much a present thing that's currently ongoing. And their aim for this class action is to reopen the platform's digital games market to other companies and to win compensation for the region's players. WCCF Tech were able to get an exclusive statement from the group as the trial began. And clearly they believe PlayStation's recent decisions have just given their case more weight. Here's the quote: "The end of physical discs removes the last place where a PlayStation game could still be bought and sold at a competitive price. No discs means no second-hand market and no alternative to the PlayStation Store. So from 2028, Sony alone decides what a game costs and even how long you are allowed to use it." That is exactly the harm our fair PlayStation claim is about. A price can never be fair when the buyer is left with no ownership and no alternative.
I saw that Eclipse. Eclipse says, you know what I think funny? Sony is making a vinyl record player. Yeah, I saw this. Sony is making a physical record player so you can play your records on a Sony record player. But yet they're getting rid of digital or physical games. Make fucking sense. Like, what are we talking about?
Brutal statement. And a fair one, I would say. And perhaps some good news is that another Dutch outfit seems to have broadly proved the litigants' points here. You see, what they found is that on average, for both first and third-party games, you could find a game cheaper physically than you could in the PlayStation Store. That's something just about any of us can do by looking at a local...
All right, hold on. Let me back up here. Price data shows that physical PlayStation games can be up to 50 euros cheaper. Why not buy it directly from PlayStation Store? It's very simple. Online stores are often cheaper. Our data shows. This article is based on price data from PlayStation Store, Price Watch, our price comparison tool. We pulled the Price Watch data from our database and manually collected the prices from PlayStation Store via the price tracking website.
Than you could in the PlayStation Store. That's something just about any of us can do by looking at a local store, but in this case it was the finding from an outlet called Tweakers, whose Price Watch service tracks the lowest price in games. Basically, they ran a study on the game.
Gee, look at that. Yeah. All prices are cheaper than PlayStation Store.
Game of the Year nominees since 2021, wherever a game had both a standard edition PS5 disc and a PSN store listing. And what they basically found is that deep PSN sales can mitigate this a bit, where you can actually see PlayStation.
Sure, they dip down here, but they're still fine cheaper elsewhere, right? They cheaper here. And now people are saying, see, there's a lot of sales that go on. There's a lot of sales that go on PlayStation, only because they're still physical. Only because they're still physical. Once that physical is gone and they don't have to compete with that anymore, then that's it.
PlayStation Store prices drop below that of third-party physical retailers, but on average, without sale prices, physical actually still wins. And what that means is that without the existence of those discs, potential customers would indeed be at the mercy of PlayStation's walled garden, with no way to benefit from competition on price. If you are a person who buys things, competition is good. It works
100%. And if people don't understand this, I don't know what to tell you. The reason that there's sales, the reason there's people that go places and get things for cheaper, right? All of us are looking for a deal on something, whatever it is. You're not going out and buying something for the highest price, right? Even if you go buy a Porsche or a Lamborghini, right? Even though if you have that money, you're like, hey, can you throw in something? All right? Can you throw in the extra tire? Can you throw in the extra thing? You get the speaker package, the leather package, whatever it is. You're looking for a deal. You're looking to get better things for your money. That's how it works.
Out in your favor. Now, on this story, particularly with physical games, there is one obvious reason for the trend, and it's physical storage. Not literally storage on the discs, I mean, like storage of the actual discs. Once a store has copies in the warehouse, they of course have to pay to keep those copies there, and at a certain point, the cost of keeping a game on the shelf just outweighs the profit from selling it, especially when a newer game could take...
If only the business did this, they were making billions of dollars before. Oh wait, they were.
That prominent slot in the actual storefront. Plus, competitors might offer prices you'll have to match or undercut, which can drag the price lower still. Obviously, a digital storefront does not have that pressure. If there were other digital stores, that may not be the case, and that is why consumer groups in the Netherlands and the UK are pushing to get us back to the market we have.
The problem with that, baby, you can't is that you can't force someone to put another store on their console. You can't force people to do that. And when I say force people, if the government can't force Sony to put another store on the Sony site, they can't force them to put Steam on their console. It's their console. It's their walled-off garden, right? Hence why if it goes digital, they can't force them to do that. But if you have physical, see, this is why we're fighting to have physical still. Because if you have physical, they have to sell it to other places. But you can't force someone to put a store on their site.
Had before 2019. That's because in 2019, PlayStation created a wedge that all of these challengers can use. And unfortunately, it's that is the best angle of attack, because the EU have confirmed that they can't force PlayStation to keep printing discs. In a statement given to the Irish Mirror, EU Commissioner...
Right, they can't force them. We, the customers, can. And again, people don't understand how much power you have. You as a customer have all the power. Together, we can move worlds, man. Right? We can bankrupt or succeed a company if we just work together. But people don't want to work together because they want they quick in, quick out. They don't want to put the time in and be like, all right, well, what are we doing? We're not buying stuff from this company, right? Like, you might have bought a car one time. You could have bought a Chevy, or you could have bought a Ford, and it was your first car, and maybe it was a piece of shit. And ever since that time, you're like, I'm never buying another Ford. I'm never buying another Chevy. I'm never buying whatever it is, right? And there's people that go on and they don't buy that car anymore. And they can do that because there's so many other car brands that have, there's options, there's choice. Okay. But if it was only one car and you didn't like that car, but that car was the only car you could buy, well, guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they don't care to fix it or make it better because it's the only thing that you can buy. Now, if you're the only person on this platform and that's the only thing you can buy, that's a problem. If Steam gets to the point where that's the only thing that you can buy on PC, people would have a problem with that, right? But there's other places to buy stuff.
For Consumer Protection, Michael McGrath, spelt out that the EU's rules on corporate activity do allow for PlayStation to sell games on their platform however they want.
Right.
However they damn well please. That's not his quote. Here's his quote. It does come down to commercial and contractual freedoms, and companies are free to offer games and services in a manner that they see fit, provided that consumer rights are fully protected in line with national and EU law. Now, he then goes on to link the statement to Stop Killing Games efforts in Europe, but at the core, this is a fundamentally different story. The EU cannot force PlayStation to produce physical discs, in just the same way it can't force Pocket Pair to produce a physical edition of Palworld so there, can be parity with Pokemon cards. That choice, of course, stays with the company. And right now, the only thing we know that influences it is the potential for more revenue. And that means that the product decision side of things is basically untouchable. But what is, I guess, legally touchable and what could be useful to people trying to push back against what Sony is doing is prices. And that is where this fight is heading. So, the real fight, the one that can actually be won, is not about discs. It is about competition, and the courts will decide that question. But for many advocacy bodies, even a win there wouldn't be enough. The fight that actually matters going forward is digital purchases having basically the rights that a disc perhaps used to carry.
And this is what everyone wants, right? Again, you're buying a license to use the property from them. But if it's a physical disc, they're not coming back to your house to take it from you. Okay? These companies don't like that. They don't like that you could also sell that thing to me, or I can sell my game to you. They don't like that, right? They want to control bolts and nuts from beginning to end and tell you that this is what it is. That is not a customer market, okay? That is them telling you, oh, here you go. You get 2 slices of bread today. There you go. Thanks for coming by, right? And people are okay with that until they're not, until down the road. But then by that time, they're not okay with it. If you don't speak up now, okay, then it's gone. And you lose that right. You lose that right to say. And then when you try to go to Congress or go to somewhere to try to fight for this down the road, there's nothing to fight about. It's gone. So the only way that it's done is, again, you don't have to go to law. You don't have to get a lawyer. You just have to stop buying the stuff. That's it. I know it's hard because you want to play the latest, greatest game and the coolest thing. It's got the greatest graphics, right? But if you buy from them, you're just saying, yeah, I'm okay with this. If you're not okay with it, you have to stop. Otherwise, they keep doing and they keep pushing. And they're going to push. And when they do this, this is what's going to happen. But I'll feel good about myself because I know I won't be funding any of this stuff.
And the infrastructure to use those rights. And here's how the argument is put forward for the Electronic Frontier Foundation by Rory Meir and Suzanne Callisto. Here's their argument. In a download-only world, American internet simply isn't consistently good enough. This ultimately ends with the customers turned into renters. And without resale rights or DRM-free ownership, your digital goods are not actually yours. The solution does not come from PlayStation. It has to come from standards and political infrastructure changing, led by engaged voters and activists. And that,
or just customers that don't want to give your money to this company, or any company that does this. That's it. I'm telling you, you don't need congressmen. You don't need anybody else. The quickest way to get shit done is do it ourselves. But we refuse to do it. Nobody wants to do it. So you just either fold over and go one direction and be like, it's just what it is. It's only a video game. It is. It's only a video game today. But it could be something that, that you really appreciate down the road that does the exact same thing. Could be your car. Could be your mortgage company. Could be your gas station. Could be your whatever. And every time another company gets away with something like this, we reward them by continuing giving them money. It's asinine. It's crazy.
That fight belongs to more people than the disc buyers. You could never have owned a PlayStation disc in your life, and this would still reach you.
What happens when PlayStation doesn't make consoles anymore? And now you don't own a console or a physical disc. What happens when it does go all cloud gaming? I wonder.
Your wallet. Because when the last competing price disappears, the walled garden sets your price too. From 2028, on PlayStation, just one company decides what a game costs and how long it's yours. That is a far more important and rather different storm than the one that PlayStation currently finds themselves within. But the drama, everything that they have sparked off with this end of physical games, it is absolutely going to propel global efforts, be it in what the EFF were putting forward there, or just, of course, on the whole price control and antitrust thing. Those could hurt Sony massively. And certainly, I have to imagine that within Xbox, there are people thinking, could we put a disk drive in Project Helix? And if we did that, would we look like the reigning gamer?
Sure, but that's not what they would do. They would put a disk drive, but you would still have to log in, and they would give you a disk, and the disk wouldn't have the actual game on it. It would just be a code to get to the servers. So it looks like they're giving you the actual disk, but they're actually not. That's what Xbox is going to do.
Champion, just like what Sony did to us all the way back in the days of the Xbox One announcement and Don Matrick. Obviously, we'll keep you abreast of any developments in this story. It's a pretty important one. But if you want another important story, it's really fascinating. Check out this one next.
Well, the problem is with the other company, right, Sarge, is that they already have all the deals and supply chains. Look what happened. Google wasn't even trying to make a console. They made a streaming service, right? The Stadia. And also, you could buy the box thing, whatever. But they had to make the deals with the publishers of the games, and it just didn't make sense. They were spending way too much money on the stuff, and that's why it didn't succeed. Okay? If we wanted to start our own gaming company and build it up, the chocolatiers would stop you, right? The chocolatiers would stop you from trying to get your system into their ecosystem here because they own it, right? It's the three. Right? There's outsiders that are in there, but they have this closed off garden. That's why it's not about Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. They're all in it together. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Let's see here. There's nothing stopping a new company from coming in with all the company. I already wrote that one. Okay. By the way, it would also be like boomers. We didn't care. We consumed until the system broke and left the crap for the generations down the line. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, publishers stopped printing games years before all of this. No, there's still publishers that still publish games. There's still people that do physical. See, we're having a completely different conversation. I'm not saying that you can't have digital. You can have digital. But there's also people that want physical. And game companies still make physical games. There's still limited run games. There's still people that make physical copies that's what they're asking for. Sony's saying, no, you can't do that. There are no physical games going forward. And when people are like, well, I still want a physical game, they're like, suck it up, Buttercup. Right? Not only is Sony saying that, but people that are defending, well, physical games are dead. It's like, but why? Because you say they are? There's still a ton of people that want physical games, but yet they're not allowed to get it. Yeah, but GDP, if Sony does this, then Nintendo follows, then Xbox follows, then they all change what's happening. We're trying to stop and educate people that this company can't do what they're doing because then other people do it. This is why. Yes, you have a choice not to purchase off PlayStation, which I have. I don't own a PlayStation 5. The last one I owned was a PlayStation 4. I'm not purchasing their game, system, or games. But if this goes through, again, my neighbor's house is on fire, well, it's not approaching on me, so I'm fine. Until it does, right? Like you have to prevent it. You have to help. You can't just sit there and go, well, I'm not on that system, so why is it that I care more not even being on a PlayStation than people that are on a PlayStation? That's crazy. Let's see. Yeah, but that's the problem, right? I mean, I'm the one that's actually said, and I know you've been in my channel not years ago, but I said that all of this is going to be cloud. I said it's all going to go digital, it's all going to go cloud, and people would have arguments with me about that. Well, no, I'm going to buy physical. I'm like, you can until you can't, because the companies will tell you when they're done. And here we are. That day is here. Well, in 2028 it'll be here, but they're prepping you for that. Age says, I wonder how many gamers would actually care if everyone knew the game isn't even running off the disc to begin with. There are games that still run off the disc. There's a lot of games that don't, right? And this is why people here, you know what? There's a video I watched this week, and I was like, boy, I would assume that this is what most people are like. Right? I'm gonna bring him up. We'll put him in the we'll watch the first part because he talks about it. Right? He knows he's the problem, but yet he still does it. I don't know the guy's name. I posted it in the Discord. I'm waiting for my Discord to open up, and then I'll scroll up and try to find it. When was it, on Friday? I think I posted it.
Celebrates 42 months of membership. Sony is poised to lose 53+% of their player base to PC with the PS6. I keep seeing more and more people asking about builds on Reddit, X and more.
Thank you very much for the 42 months continued membership. Appreciate you. Did I post that in chat, guys? I think I did, right? I think it was... Yeah, I did. We had a long conversation about... It was the Halo guy. He bought Halo. Yeah, here it is. All right.
That's right. I got scammed. And in today's video, I'm going to be walking you through the entire...
This is why I tell people, first off, no pre-orders, no day one, no full price for a half-ass game. He bought the collector's edition.
entire process of how I got scammed once again, by
the way.
Halo Studios, aka 343, aka the company with the worst track record ever freaking made. Oh man.
See, and this is why it's not about Sony, right? I don't care if you're angry at Sony or angry at my. This is an industry problem. This is an industry thing.
This one's a doozy. So for those of you who don't know, I am a huge Halo fan. I have loved Halo since the day I first walked into it.
And that's why you bought it, and that's why they sell it to you.
And I couldn't stop.
And they take advantage of that because they know that because you love something, they're going to do the minimal viable product on that as possible to get the most money out of you.
Myself, I had to buy every Halo, even if I'm not a huge fan of the 343 era Halos. Now, for some quick context, the first time I saw Halo was 2001. I walked into my cousin's base.
Let me fast forward.
Characters, not plot. The plot is since then, and I've hated every Halo that they've made.
Hold on. He talks about...
You and I played every Halo game on the main channel. And that looks like this. Okay, it's this big box, big old box, and I was going to originally do an unboxing on this channel for you guys, but then
this man's got like multiple channels. He's got over 1 million subscribers and stuff like that.
I was like,
this is a small channel.
Everyone and their dog is going to do unboxing, so who cares? I mean, you just open the box. There's a thing. I'll show you the thing right here. This is what you get, pretty much. Get the game. You get this boy, who, can I just say, like, we talk about my calves a lot. Bro, the proportions, these are the longest calves I've ever seen in my life. It's like he's 3/4 legs. I don't feel like anybody's talking about this. It feels strange to me, but whatever. So it comes with that thing, and it also comes with this little Cortana chip.
Did you say Cortana?
Cortana? Like,
he's Canadian.
It's up to let you know Cortana is there. Shout out Cortana.
Is he doing it as a joke?
In fact, can we all just comment shout out Cortana or something nice?
Yeah, he's got to be doing it as a joke.
It's about Cortana in the comments, because I'm sure it would really make Cortana's day, especially because she keeps getting her face changed. Okay, let's talk about the scam. I had to give you some context here because the scam is really annoying and you need to know where I'm coming from. So I get this stupid thing. I pay 300 Canadian rubles for it, which is what we call it over here. And
I was right, I was Canadian, huh?
You know, I'm not thrilled about paying $300 for.
Then why'd you do it? See, that's what I understand. But why then?
Game I'm no doubt going to hate. I mean, they took Halo remake. They remade Halo CE for this Halo game. Okay, that's what this is. It's a remake of Halo CE, and they decide to add Sprint, change a bunch of things. I've yet to play it for the reason I'm about to get into. So I'm already not thrilled about buying this, but I'm going to do it because I love Halo and I just want Halo to succeed. Okay, I just do. But I'm.
So because you wanted to succeed, you paid $300, and he'll tell you why he got scammed in just a second.
I'm also part of the problem, and I understand that.
At least he knows he's part of the problem.
Anyways. So I get the thing, and I get it what day is it today? Today is the 22nd. I got it 5 days ago. So I get it around the 17th of July. I get the box, that big box I showed you. So I get the box, and originally, like I said, I was like, oh, I'm going to open this game, and I'll unbox it with everybody, and I'll share it on the second channel. Then I was like, yeah, well, we already got 3.
See, I think, and he didn't do the boxing, but this is the process I think a lot of content creators do, right? They're like, oh, I'm making a shit ton of money off of YouTube. I'm going to throw the money back in. I'll do a box opening of this, and then I'll make money back off of that, and that's why they spend the money they do. I would assume that's the reason he did what he did.
That I don't really care. It just doesn't make any sense. Everyone's going to be doing that. It's going to be hyper competitive. Like, no one cares. So let's just see what happens. We'll talk about the game, which was my original plan. I'm going to talk to you guys about the game directly and give you my opinions on it, which I can still do. But this just ticked me the heck off. So I get this thing, and after I decide to unbox it, I go in.
That's exactly right, Ray. They want to boycott, but they don't. They don't really want to.
I get the game. I get the things, and I open the game up. Okay, slide it open like this. I open the game up. And inside, I gotta make sure I'm not leaking anything here. Inside, there's a disc, okay? The disc is in my Xbox. So I take the disc and I'm like, well, you know what? Dude, I'm just gonna play this game.
I'm going to play it. Or he thought.
I mean, like, this is a Halo game. I'm gonna play it. Let's go play it right now. Let's pop the disc in the Xbox. Let's play it.
Nothing more polite than a pissed off Canadian. That's right.
So I pop this disc in, and granted, I want you to remember, I have paid $300 for this thing.
He paid $300 for the statue, the little plastic clicker thing, okay, and the game. And he's got it early now, right? So he can pop in the cartridge to play, or pop in the disc to play the game.
They shipped it to me early.
Yep.
That's the situation. I pop this disc in, and it starts downloading some things, and then it just stops. Like, that's weird. This game should be a thick boy. Knowing 343 and Unreal Engine, because Halo is now being remade on Unreal Engine. I'm going, this thing should be like, should be at it for like an hour or two. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, the heck? It says it's done.
Yeah, if you're going to pay that much, Sarge, for like a figurine, fucking go to Hot Toys. You know what I mean? Like, get an actual looking fucking, like, badass version. Not the plastic molding that they did a half-ass job on.
Let's try playing it. I try to play it. It brings me to the Microsoft Store, and then it immediately says launch game. I say, well, yeah. And I press launch game, and it brings me to like another page within the store, and then it says, hey, do you want to buy the game? And I'm like, I already did. The disc's in the thing. What the heck? So then I like go through.
Yeah, because it doesn't know. It's like, oh, you want to buy this game. It's like, well, wait a minute. I paid $300 for the game. It doesn't know that because it's early. He's not supposed to play the game yet because it's not released on the servers yet.
Through this system like 3 times thinking I missed something. To which I understand very quickly, we live in the darkest timeline. And even though I have the disc and I got the game early, and even though this is a remake of a single player game, there's no spoilers. It's the same game, changed for stupid reasons, and yet
you bought it for $300 and you don't get to play it.
I'm banned from playing it because we live in the darkest timeline where everything has to be set up with a digital key and the disc means nothing. And even though I bought this collector's edition for $300, I now have a key that is effectively useless. It's one of these license key checks. And it gets even worse because I start going online. Today should be the day where I should be able to do this because a buddy of mine in the content creation space gets given a key. Now, I want it very clear.
He got put on the white list. That's what it is.
I have never received any key whatsoever, ever, from any game, despite my channel, my main channel, Zenkai Goose, which a lot of you guys know. And if you don't, hi, my name's Casey. I'm Zenkai Goose. I'm a former construction worker turned senior software developer at Unity. I have 10 years of programming experience and then went on to create Zenkai Goose, high production gaming content focused on positivity, amassing over 70 million views. And it's done all right. And I've received nothing from anyone in the gaming space besides Dead by Daylight.
So he's a game developer.
Who are like, dude, we love what you're doing. Here's a key, give it to the community. And I did. I put that in a video and then one of you guys accepted it. So that's fantastic. So I have this disc and it doesn't work. And I paid $300 for it. And I see this other content creator friend of mine get early access to a key. So I'm like, how is it that I cannot play this game and no one in my position can play this game?
Because they don't like you. They don't like anyone that is an actual customer, okay? Well, I'm sorry, you're a consumer, okay? They don't like any of you, okay? They just want your money to give you the minimal viable product and to give you convenience. It's so convenient, right? He bought the disc. He thought he was doing it correctly, but he didn't read. He didn't read that it was a, code. There's a code, but the disc is also, the game's not on the disc.
Like, I get giving it to content creators. I am one. I get it. But at the same time, to all the people, all the loyal fans who paid $300
Yep.
to get this stupid box with the long leg Master Chief.
Now, see, it's a stupid box because it didn't work for him. If the company actually cared and they care packaged it for you and gave it to the thing, right? Then, and it worked on day one, he wouldn't be making this video. He'd be like, it's great. Got the statue, big fucking box, got the little plastic keychain thing, and the game works, and he's happy. Happy customer. But he's not a happy customer. We went to this weekend, Friday. We went over to St. Petersburg. Okay. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. We drove over there. Okay. We walked down this small little town in St. Petersburg. My wife walked in. It was like 6:30 at night. This woman had a candle shop. Okay. You walk into the candle shop. Now, this is not a candle shop where it's not like the big box stores, right? This is a single-owned candle shop by this woman. We walk through the door. There's only one other person in the store. Okay? Only one other person in the store. She's making candles in the back. Okay? She's a customer. She's making a candle. This woman walks up to us as we walk in. It's me, my son, and my wife. We walk in, and we start just looking at the candles. She stops what she's doing. She walks up to us. Okay? She's the business owner, right? Operator, business owner. She walks up to us and starts telling us what her business is about. Okay? We could dismiss her or whatever, but we listened to it. And then she's like, I make every single candle, blah, blah, blah. This is what it is. This is how we do it. This is what, right? Telling us all the stuff. We walked out with a candle because of what the person cared. She wanted to make the sale, okay, because she cared about the customer coming in. Not only did she care, but then when we bought the thing, she talked to us and then she put it in a nice box and wrapped the thing and put it in the bag and did all this other stuff and then handed us the bag, right? And she's like, thanks for coming in. Thanks for supporting my business, right? That is what a business owner does, not what these corporations do, right? Not what these corporations do. These corporations don't give two shits. They want the highest price tag possible, and they just like, thanks for coming in. Thanks for paying the money.
And you're telling me,
but they don't even say thank you.
I have this collector's edition disc that's meant to last the test of time. Like if I have a collector's edition of Halo 3 with the helmet, the disc will work no matter when. In fact, if I did pop it in early, it would work. The only thing that wouldn't work would be the multiplayer, understandably. But the single player, who cares?
Right.
And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, how does he getting it? And then I see that, oh, the game comes with this. A premium edition key. So behind this is a redemption code. Because the disc I own isn't even enough. They didn't even give me a special disc or anything. I have to put in this.
They gave you something, but it wasn't a disc.
Stupid premium key, which I'm supposed to do today, to download the game that I bought a collector's edition for, that is effectively just some long-legged Master Chief looking to hit the streets. And I can't play the stupid game that they shipped me early. Like, I know for today this sounds like a stupid thing to complain about, and it kind of is a stupid thing to
It's always stupid for the people that don't care.
Complain about. Don't get me wrong. But in context of like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, if this happened where I paid through.
See, the problem is he's just waking up. Waterbear said this a couple of weeks ago. It's like people have unplugged from the Matrix and they're finally like waking up to the stuff. This has happened over and over and over for the last 15 years.
$300 and they sent me the collector's edition early. I could just play it because I had the disc. I could just play it. And they'd be like, hey, you gave us $300. It's fine. We really don't care. The game is a remake. It's fine. Go ahead. Have fun. Maybe.
Oh, no, it's not stupid, Roic. What I'm saying is the people that don't care think it's stupid that he's complaining.
We put a little note in there to just be like, don't play this, don't share this, but you can play it early. Shh, 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 just you and me. Shh, 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 Calf compadres. But yet, once again, they screwed me. And I should have saw it coming.
And you did it again.
It got me once again.
But that right there is the hilarious part to me, right? He seems like a nice guy or whatever, right? He knows, right? He knows that he's being screwed over. And he's done it again and again, and he just keeps giving them the money. He just keeps giving them the money because he wants to play the game. He wants to play the thing, but he gets screwed over, but it's already too late. He's already made the transaction, okay? He doesn't get his $300 back, doesn't get the pass go, okay? He just gets to deal with it what it is and learn his lesson maybe next time. But apparently he didn't learn his lesson.
And they just continue to get me, and it disgusts me.
See? Look at it's like he
Once again, they screwed me, and I should have saw it coming. They got me once again, and they just continue to get me, and it disgusts me, and yet I keep falling for it.
Why? It's super easy. It's super easy not to buy it day one, not to get it. I don't care if it's a collector's edition or not. It's super easy not to give these companies money. If you want them to change, you have to stop giving them the money.
And it hurts, and I just wanted to share this with you guys because I hate the idea that you or I or Uncle Bob, shout out Uncle Bob, dude, can buy a $300 copy of their favorite game for a collector's item.
It doesn't even matter if it's $300, by the way, right? He got the statue. At least he got the statue, right, guys? But it doesn't matter if you buy a $60 game, $30 game, $20 game, $100 game, whatever it is. You should be able to buy the game, a single player game, by the way, and play it off of the fucking disc.
And it's basically a digital key. Like, for context, bro, for context, okay? So stupid.
He's like, I'm fucking idiot.
This thing, okay, it feels like something I'd give my nephew.
Yeah, it's a minimal viable product.
Feels cheaper than a Lego piece. It feels like a Mega Block. That's number one. Number two, this feels the exact same way. And again, the leg.
You can see just the plastic that it's standing on the rock, that it's a cheaper plastic.
Leg to body ratio is scaring me. I don't know if that's accurate. It doesn't feel accurate. Like, bro, that's all leg. It's made in China. It cost them like 2 rubles.
He's got to be in. I would assume he's in his 30s, mid 30s, just enough. I have no idea. I've never seen the guy before.
Like it looks kind of cheap.
Because it is cheap.
It doesn't look like $300.
Just him waving it around, it doesn't feel like there's any weight there.
And then I get what is effectively just they threw in a DVD and then they they glued a Halo logo on top of it and they said, "There you go, brother." And then they printed a piece of paper that said, "Hey, in case you want the premium edition," which originally, if I'm being honest,
and look, he's got an Xbox, he's got a PlayStation. I'm sure he's got another PlayStation 3 on the thing. He's got all his his old systems, man. It's not like he's a one-side fan or the other.
To you, my original goal was because the game comes with those stupid skins. For those of you who don't know, the Halo Campaign Evolved remake comes with these disgusting, just utterly atrocious goblin-like skins that I hate, and I don't even know how you're supposed to look at them unless you're in this new third-person mode, which is a whole other thing. But anyways, my original goal was like, oh yeah, they're going to give you the skins as part of the codes, you know, and my disc will be the premium disc because like I bought the collector's edition, so I'll just...
Yeah, but Shaku, this is exactly this is not an Xbox thing. This is just another story in a long tail of other people telling stories of how they get screwed over when they buy a game and the game's not on the actual disc, right? This just so happens to be the Xbox version of it, right? And this is why thanks for joining the channel. This is why on here it's not picking on this side or this side. It's talking about the industry as a whole. The industry as a whole is cooked, man. It really is, because they're trying to force you to do certain things, right? Regardless if they give you a physical disc or not, there's no game on the disc, right? It's an illusion. It's all an illusion.
Just play the game and I'll give you guys the code. That was my goal. I was going to give you guys the code. And then they're like, nah, it's just all like the disc doesn't matter. Everything's just in this one succinct little thing. So I can't even share it because I don't want.
We've talked about this all the time, right? Minimal viable product. Make a game, sell a game is what they should do. They're doing minimal viable product. And if the game does suck, they just put it on Game Pass. They just put it on Game Pass because if it's on Game Pass, it doesn't really matter. The quality doesn't have to be there, right? So as a customer, if I want to buy a game that's a good game, I'll buy the game, physical copy of the game. But if it's a game that's a half-ass game, I'm not going to buy your game. I'll play it on your streaming service and try it out and go, yeah, that's a piece of shit game. Or that was a fun game, but I wouldn't own
those stupid skins, but now I'm forced to have those stupid skins. And now if Uncle Bob comes over and turns on my Xbox and sees me playing Halo, he's going to see those skins and he's going to think less of me. Uncle Bob's going to disown me. The other thing the game came with was not one, not two, but 3 instruction manuals, all in
Why? Different languages?
different languages.
Okay.
I got English, French, and Spanish. That's cool. But I'll be honest.
Right, Sarge. It could have been like a USB drive or something, you know?
Can we talk about manuals? We talk about manuals because there's a growing number of people who are like, bring back manuals. I like when we had manuals. Yo, I'm with you, but like,
yeah, we don't give shit to Sony or Xbox here. We make fun of everybody, right? Like we understand that people like video games, and this is what we're about here. We're talking about video games, talking about gaming news and stuff like that, right? Where my stand is, people come in and they want me to be like, well, just get over it, the physical. It's like, no, you need the physical. We need to have consumer rights, but taking away the physical and then fighting for the rights afterwards is the wrong move. You need to have physical and also fight for digital rights management, and that's what people don't see. They're just like, oh, this is the way it is. Just fold. No one's buying physical. No, people are buying physical. People are buying physical. Think about this, right? The amount of people that are buying physical is like the amount of people that buy a most popular game on a console. And what I mean by this is Sony has 93 million people that own a PlayStation. Yet when they sell a 5 million units for a game, their first party title, or 3 million units, it's an extreme hit, right? That's what they tell you. Now imagine in that role of the 3 million people that bought their first party title game or whatever, and it's an extreme hit, and the other 90 million people that didn't buy it. That would be a failure, right? But now with physical, there's only like 5 million to 10 million people that are buying stuff, and that's the minority. And they're like, fuck it, just throw it out the door. It's like, hold up. Why are you throwing it out the door? Right? The minority of the people are buying your games on your system, but yet the minority of people that buy physical media, you're just throwing them out the door. It makes no sense. And the minority of the people buying physical is way more than the people that are buying, in this example, that are buying that one game.
Manuals, when they were originally in the game, they were for playing controls, giving you like a little bit of backstory. You know, things like, see, it's like telling you controls, a little bit of backstory here, some artwork. Oh, the game also came with 3 pieces of plastic artwork. That was cool.
Ooh, nice. He's going through the stages of.
I'm letting you guys know this in case you're like, ah, man, I really got that FOMO on that collector's edition. Hey, yo, you're good. You're good. Because it didn't give me the game early. It didn't give me anything of high quality or value. Like, I'll give you an example of something, okay? Check this out. This cost the same, if not less. This is a Marcus Phoenix collector's edition for Gears 3. Gears 3 is one of my all-time favorite. The quality
Looks like you can kill someone with that thing.
on this stand, like, this feels heavy. This feels like it could kill a man the same way the Xbox could.
Yep.
The Lancer actually pops out if you want it to. And there's these little bits of rebar which allowed me to hook things on. Somebody gave me from work, gave me a thing for Chicago. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a little Chicago thing. I've never been to Chicago. If anybody's watching from Chicago, let me know what it was like to see Batman in person. I want to know this. And all this to say, this is a much higher piece of quality, and it's like Halo is the main brand. Like, this, by all accounts, this is a scam. The game is a scam. what I paid for was a scam. The physical game itself is a digital scam. The skins are a scam. I've been scammed. I've been bamboozled. And just like, you ever been like just disrespected to your face so blatantly that you don't even take offense because you're so shocked by it? You're just...
Yeah, because you know that you're the idiot that did it. They're right to your face. They're telling you stuff, and you accept it. So you have nothing else but to be, because if you're super mad, you have to be mad at yourself now.
kind of like, did that just happen?
Yes.
Like, that's how I feel right now. And I'm taking full accountability here. This is a me thing. Like, I know.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I opened the box and I popped in the game and I just couldn't believe it. And then I decided, you know what?
Because that's everyone's natural reaction, right? When you go to a store and you buy something, remember that time when you would, I mean, look at this. Look at this. You know, I buy physical stuff still because I have a X-Acto knife next to me when I have to break those seals, right? Like that is how you know, right? You buy something and then you bring it home and you want to open it right away. You want to see it. You open it up, you're like, you pull it, right? Like, it's the good stuff, right? That is what we want inherited as a human. You're like, I bought this. I own this now. Oh my God. Let me see what I got. Cool. I got a disc. I got right? And there are games that should be digital because you're not going to own them regardless. You're not going to own. We have Battleborn, right? No one talks about Battleborn. I talk about Battleborn all the time. Battleborn was a single-player game with an online thing as well, and you could play the single-player game by yourself, and yet they took it away from you because of the multiplayer game of it, and the disc is just there. But now people are waking up because of Halo's Collector's Edition or Call of Duty or whatever else game. This has been happening for years, decade of stuff, and people are now just like waking up and connecting to the Matrix now, or disconnecting from the Matrix.
I'm just going to share this with you guys because I have to share my pain somehow. And now we have this second channel where we can vibe together. So if you guys want to see my thoughts on Halo Campaign Evolved, I will try to play it. But right now I am incredibly unimpressed. I cannot believe I own the disc. I own the disc. I paid $300. I own it. It's here.
Yep, can't play it.
It's a single player game. It's mine.
I didn't buy a $300 game. And Wednesday, me and Sarge are going to play it on Game Pass. Because why do I need to buy that game? I played the original. I own the original. I don't need to own the remake of the original. I'll just play the original and put it down because my memory, okay, of me playing this stuff is back when I was younger.
It doesn't work. It's effectively useless. And not only that, but I can't even preload it. I tried punching in the premium code yesterday, July 21st. I still can't preload it. So I have to wait until, I think today is effectively the day, because tomorrow it's supposed to be open for anyone who got the premium.
Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about this. I'm not saying that this is going to happen to him, but now because he's got this like bad taste in his mouth, right? He paid $300. He got the box. He doesn't like the statue. He's got the little plastic clicker. He couldn't get the game. Now he plays the game. Now he admittedly said in the very beginning of this stream that he's a big Halo guy. He's got to buy Halo. He could play this game and go, it was all right. It was okay, right? Because even if it was a really good game and he really enjoyed it, he can't enjoy it anymore because they ruined it for him.
Lord forbid the people who spent the extra on the collectors get an even earlier access than the people who spent $100 for a digital code. Lord forbid.
You didn't buy access to the game. You bought the statue and the little clicker.
I swear to God, the gaming industry is absolutely cooked, and it disgusts me in ways I can't begin to express. So, if you guys enjoyed watching me in this pain, or you're curious to see what the Halo campaign evolved, game is going to be like, my opinions on it. Please let me know in the comments.
I am not excited, Sarge. We played Halo Infinite. I was just like, whatever. Like, I'll play it because we're playing it, and you want to play it. I love playing the games with you, but I'm not excited to be playing it.
Comments, I read them all. Let me know if I got scammed or if you think I deserved all this. I want to know.
I think you got scammed and you deserve it. I do. And it seems like you've gotten this before and you did it again. I know nothing about this gentleman. All right. I just watched this video and I was like, you know what? At least he's being honest about it. At least he's saying it how it is. But we got to stop doing this.
Oh, also shout out Red Letter Media. I know some of you guys commented on seeing Red Letter Media before, and so I wanted to put that in there again because they're the best. They're the absolute best. I watch them every night. I'm not even joking. I think I've never 100%ed a YouTube channel. I don't even know if anyone's ever done that, but like I'm pretty close with Red Letter Media. I think I just have a couple more, best of the worst, and I'm done, which is crazy because that's a lot of content. Anyways, you guys are beautiful. Hopefully you enjoyed my misery.
So there you go. Let me add him. I don't even know what his channel is. Zenkai Vibes. Let me add him to the list down here. We always put all the people that we watch and talk about. We talked about Mug Thief earlier, so let's put him in here. And then this guy is Zenkai Vibes. Okay, so there you go. Links in the description down below. If you guys like his channel, maybe check out some of his other stuff. Maybe he talks about it. I don't know. I've never seen his channel. I saw that popped in my timeline. I was like, got scammed. Well, let me see what he's talking about, right? I've only had one regret about a game, and I've talked about this before, which was Division 1, right? When Division 1 originally came out in, was it 2014? I think it came out the same year as Destiny or something. 2015, something like that. I bought the early access, where you get the other updates, the DLCs, but you get the game, and then you have to wait for the game, right? And I played Division 1, and I enjoyed Division 1, but I hated the fact that I had to wait for the other content that I paid up front for. And ever since then, I said, never again. I'm never buying a pre-order bonus type of stuff where I'm waiting for the season pass or any stuff like that. I said, no, I'm done. And I've never bought ever since then, right? Over the years, I stopped buying Call of Duty. Now is Call of Duty bankrupt because I didn't pay it? No, but I feel good. I don't buy Call of Duty games. I stopped buying EA games, like the Madden games and stuff. And growing up, I used to be a huge sports guy. Stop buying them. Don't care. Don't support them in that range. Do I buy EA games? Yes. Not full price anymore. I stopped buying Battlefield. Okay. I didn't buy Battlefield 5 when it came out because it was broke, buggy, and unfinished when they launched. I bought it, I think it was 8 months afterwards, and we got it 2 copies for $20. Okay. So we paid for that. Didn't buy Battlefield 2042 because it was broke, buggy, and unfinished, right? But I still played it when it came to Game Pass, right? And then didn't buy Battlefield 6, and I probably won't buy Battlefield 6 until it comes to Game Pass, and I'm not going to buy it. I'll just play it through Game Pass, right? I'm a person that when I say I'm not going to play or buy something, I stick by it because that's me. I'm not saying anybody else should do the exact same thing, but you can't expect anything to change if you just keep doing it, okay? You can't expect everything to just all of a sudden, well, don't bother not buying physical anymore because, well, Sony's just going to win anyway, so you might as well. You gotta stop. You gotta stop buying. You gotta stop buying the scams, right? You gotta stop buying the pre-order bonuses and the $300 editions to not play the game. You cannot play the game for $0 and wait for someone else to review it and whatnot, and then purchase it afterwards after you're a much more informed customer. Okay, but it is what it is. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. They're bringing survival to Division 2. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. It's going to break job. Blanky says, I don't even like buying DLC expansions. I feel like they should pay for the game one time. It's fantastic. Stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't like that business model, then don't support that business model, right? That's it. That's the only way people have to. It's like you want to protect your kids, right? But you got to let your kids learn. You got to let them get hurt, right? You got to let people make mistakes. As long as you learn from the mistakes, fine. But if you keep going back and doing the same thing, I mean, he says he's the problem. He said it himself. He's the problem, right? You did it again. You got scammed again. You got to wake up and be like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Now, I do understand people that are on YouTube. They do stuff because they're going to make it back because of monetization, especially if they have a bigger channel. Right? You could justify going to the movies and seeing a shitty movie if you're going to monetize it afterwards. Travis says, 30, just sent you a video to make Sarge happy explaining Division 3. Maybe we'll watch that. Maybe we'll watch that tomorrow. No, we'll move that over to tomorrow, Jesse. We'll move over to the Marvel stuff tomorrow. I mean, we can even talk about it tonight when we play. I'll be playing Power World tonight over on 30. If you want to talk about Marvel stuff tonight, we can talk about it as well. See? Sarge, please don't send me anything made by Ubisoft. I am done. I don't think I'm like higher or mightier than anybody else because I don't do something. You know what I mean? Like you each do your own thing, right? Buy what you want to buy, but don't come in and start complaining about something that when we tell you, hey, don't buy this day one, and then you buy it day one and go, oh, it's broken, buggy, and I can't believe I got scammed. Like that type of stuff is just like, well, you did it to yourself. Right? I'm not telling anyone not to buy stuff. I'm telling people to be much more informed customer. All right. On that, it's 12:30. I'm going to go hang out with the fam, with my son. We might be going bowling or something. I appreciate it very much. You guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Shaku says, I was going to skip a Black Flag remake because I avoided it this long, but the game is goated. Bought it after waiting for reviews. Stuff like that is fine though, right? If you didn't buy it day one because you wanted to see what it was, that is the greatest thing you did. Was wait to see what other people did, look for gameplay and stuff like that, and that is an informed customer. So regardless if someone else hates the game, you looked at it and go, you know what, it looks great, I want to get it. You picked it up, but you were informed. A lot of people are not informed. They just buy it randomly. They buy a full price game. They buy the expansion pack. They buy the legendary edition, and then they just sit there and it's in their backlog and they don't even touch it for like 6, 8, 10 months, maybe even longer sometimes. And they're out of the money. It's a broken, buggy game, and then they play it later, right? They're uninformed. Just be informed, you know? So you did it the right way. All right. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. If you guys want to support us in any other way, we have apparel down below. You can look at the shirts and the hats and the mugs and stuff like that. You can also go to Spotify, Anchor.fm, iHeart, iTunes. You can go look at the music, Perk Up, Press Play. We got 2 albums up there, songs that I wrote, AI created. As far as the songs go, if you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tonight over on 30 and Still Gaming, where we play some Power World tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow morning for the daily grind. Appreciate it. You guys have a great one. Peace.
This is where we go, but nobody asks what happens when they close the door. The shelves get empty, the choices disappear. They say there's nothing left to fear, but every time another option dies, we're one step closer to the line. And everybody's saying, man, you're living in the past, but choice tomorrow.